Internet! My name is Walter Ceades Fedczuk, and if you've ever watched Rough Drafts before and you've seen this overlay, you know it is time again for my personal favorite podcast. It's our Nepotism podcast with my brother Alex and my co-host Chase, and we're talking about Hearthstone because that's the only thing we talk about on the Nepotism podcast. So, as of course, I would like to welcome my typical co-host, Chase, RedShirtKing Wassenar, and my brother down here, Alex, BMNeavas Fedczuk. Guys, how are we doing today?
I mean, I'm doing great. We get to talk Hearthstone, which is a game that I absolutely love and play way more than I play League of Legends. So this is something I feel like I can be informed as a player as well as an analyst. And I get to go back and forth with somebody who plays even more card games than I do, which always, having that Magic the Gathering influence that Alex brings into it really does help kind of put things in perspective. I think there's at least one card that the Magic the Gathering community has been laughing at how much the Hearthstone community has been overreacting to it. And when we get there, you'll know exactly which one I'm talking about. But I love getting to talk about Hearthstone cards, and I think that this expansion in particular has shown that Blizzard has at least learned one thing, which is that boring pack filler is super boring. They did not release a single card in this expansion without text, with the exception of the 0-mana 1/1 Beast. And Beast's text meme is going to be a thing for a while now, but still, that's it. That's as far as we go without having, as far as boring basic cards. Everything else does something. And that makes this fun. It makes it interesting. It means that there are going to be a lot of decisions being made, whether it's an arena or whether it's in traditional standard format. So I'm excited. I think this is going to be real fun.
Yeah. How's Gwent, Alex? How's Gwent?
Gwent's okay. Gwent's a card game that makes me salty like they all do. No, Gwent is a lot of fun. It's hard to speak about. It's a very consistent format. So you get paired up with an opponent and you basically know how the game is going to play out, and then it's how you react to that situation that changes kind of how the game goes. Okay, well, I know that you have this. You probably have it in your hand right now, so I'm going to do this instead of trying to execute my game plan in a strictly linear fashion. But on the topic of Hearthstone, I'm super excited about this expansion because does the term glacial pace seem too much like a pun?
I mean, yeah. If you're gonna name, your expansion Knights of the Frozen Throne, I think all the ice puns and freezing and frozen and let it go is gonna come out. I think you're totally on board with making any type of ice joke that you want to. I'd even say that it would be nice to have a lot of ice jokes.
I was gonna say it's very ice that we all got together to talk about this whole thing today. This is when Batman and Robin, Mr. Freeze needs to come out and intercut half of our jokes with half of his terrible ice puns and just make it a mega cast in that regard. But we've got so many cards to talk about today. Maybe we don't have the time to invite.
Can we just edit in? Can we just edit in Arnold Schwarzenegger's Mr. Freeze? It's another guess.
Just randomly in the middle of the show, I'm gonna take a compilation of his best moments as Mr. Freeze and just drop it in there, and it's gonna be a 10-minute video, and everyone's gonna be like, "Wait, what are we doing?" Yes, that's
all I'm asking.
That is
asking for, Walter.
So I just want to ask, how did we enjoy Ungaro? Just before we get into Knights of the Frozen Throne, at the end of the day, we're still keeping all the cards. Most of the decks are probably just going to, change somewhat. Meta's going to shift. But at the end of the day, how did we enjoy Ungaro? Because I played way more Hearthstone in just that one expansion than I probably had since Hearthstone came out. So let's start with Alex. How well, how much did you like Ungaro? How well did you do? What were your final thoughts on the expansion?
I think that Ungaro was a huge success as far as Hearthstone's concerned. Sure, there was the bad taste that people were getting in their mouth about Quest Rogue, but even then, from my experience, I never really ran into many quest rogues. So aside from me playing it and having a whole bunch of fun making other people sad,
Yeah.
like I never like every single rogue I ran into was Miracle. So that didn't seem like that huge a deal. And if you look at like the top tier of decks, we had control, we had aggro, we had mid range. Like every archetype seemed pretty decently, like the general archetype seemed decently represented as a whole. If only Warlock was doing a bit better, then I could say like, man, everyone had a good deck. Like Hunter was tier 1 for a bit, Control Paladin was a thing, Aggro Paladin, Murloc Shaman even like did decently for a bit, Aggro Shaman, like with the Bloodlust finisher and all the tokens. Jade Druid still existed after it finally got properly attacked like I knew it would be.
Yeah. Aggro Druid is still mean. I Priest, I'm still having fun with Control Priest, where I get Elise shenanigans and do all the Shadow Vision stuff, but also Purify Priest is a thing now. That's something I don't think we necessarily were all expecting. Turns out that Lyra card that I said might be good if it had the right support, we already had enough support and we just didn't see it. I'm so glad that ended up being actually good.
And much like Warriors will never get a single top minion after this, we will never get another minion that says can't attack on it. Because Silence Priest, because Purify became good, Blizzard or Team 5 proved like, hey guys, this is a good card. Now let's just get rid of all this. This is silly.
I will say I had more fun at the beginning of the expansion than by the end, where it was literally every deck on ladder was control and I couldn't play Pirate Warrior anymore. And I know, boo-hoo, the Pirate Warrior player is complaining, but like, I don't know. The end of Ungaro, and now seeing how it looks like everything's gonna shift, is leaving a very cool taste in my throat. It's like cooled me down, because I'm like, I am not gonna enjoy this unless I fundamentally change my play style as a player. So I'm excited because it's more Hearthstone, and they sucked me in enough with Ungaro that I'm gonna keep playing it. But I know just from everything that I'm seeing of the cards and interactions and everything, I feel like for aggro and classic burn players, this isn't really going to be our time to shine.
I mean, for burn players, Alex Straza still exists, and she's not rotating anytime soon.
That's true.
Also, I think Go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, Shaman's going to be just fine for the record. Like, they're going to add in that new, I believe it's the Burlock, which is the worst pun in the set, but also kind of incredible as it is. Having a minion that you can put down and freeze things and just help build that board even more quickly, like, that's still going to be good regardless of the rest of this. Pirate Warrior will be just fine because it's fast enough. A lot of these cards we've learned over time, right? Yes, they slow things down enough that these control decks have a chance, but moving super fast is still going to be more reliable than those kind of control cards. The tech that's going to be coming in here still needs to be drawn and played, and then Pirate Warrior can't have an answer to it. And Pirate Warrior still has all of the things that's going to allow it to go face super quick, though. So I'm less doom and gloom about aggro as you are, just because I think aggro will always have a place, just because there are so many cheap, good cards that can flood the board and are still going to do a thing. But as someone who was queuing into a lot of Pirate Warrior whenever I tried to play Control and having a miserable time of it, I can assure you that if I have some more tools in my arsenal to get past it, I'm not gonna be complaining too much. It's not a concern.
Listen, I'm not gonna go look at my Hearthstone stats and try and figure out how many control decks I played against in the last month versus Pirate Warrior decks. I'm not gonna do that because that's not the purpose of this podcast. This purpose is to actually look at the cards, to think about the decks, to think about the classes, figure out where things are going to go, figure out what decks, like Pirate Warrior, might just fall off a cliff. As if.
Come on.
I know, it was a joke. I was chuckling at my own joke. Calm down. Whatever. Hop off the Pirate Warrior player here. But we're going to start with Druid. And we start with Druid because it starts with the letter D. They do have two decks, according to Tempo Storm's meta snapshot, that are currently tier 1. That is the Aggro Druid and the Jade Druid, as you both kind of chuckled about Jade Druid somehow still being good an expansion later. So first glance at the cards in Frozen Throne, do we think either of those decks gained anything that are going to keep them as tier 1 or put them, in the number 1 spot or tier S? Chase, what do you think?
Well, as far as what they gained, I don't think that it's going to be anything that necessarily plays into those two decks very well. I think in general, Jade Druid is as thin as it is because it needs to have enough of the Jade cards. It needs to have, the nourishes for a bit of a draw engine. There are very few things you can really take out. There wasn't any real draw in this. There wasn't really anything that, I guess you could say that Spreading Plague maybe helps you buy a little bit more time, but by the time you're playing that, it's, in often cases, it's a dead card that you can't really afford in a deck that needs to have the consistency. The one thing that's actually going to be quite bad for Jade Druid is the existence of one of the most clearly printed hate cards I've seen in a while, the Skulking Geist. 6 mana, 4/6, destroy all 1-cost spells in both hands and decks. That is designed to say, screw you, you Jade Druid player, and screw you Miracle Priests, who are really hurt even more by this, because at least Jade Druid has a guaranteed amount of scale. It's just preventing the infinite. Miracle Priest, you lose Inner Fire, and you're basically, you're done with your Inner Fire combo. So sucks to be you. But yeah, so that might bring it down a little bit if that's played a lot with any tech card. It's going to be based on how prevalent those things are going to be. So maybe it'll kind of ebb and flow that way a little bit more. As far as Aggro Druid goes, didn't really get anything in this expansion, but I didn't think it really needed to. It has all of the cards it needs to go fast. It still has all of the ramp. What this is going to do is it's going to try to make this kind of Taunt Druid a thing, which I'm actually curious to talk to you, Alex, because I can't seem to wrap my head around whether Taunt Druid has any real potential to be a thing. Is this a thing I'm sleeping on? Is this a genuine, can this be played, or are the taunts that you would potentially be getting back just too slow? It feels just not doesn't feel like enough of a swing for me compared to something like N'Zoth.
So refresh my memory. Bolster was printed back in Grand Tournament, right?
Yeah.
And how many expansions later did we get Quest for Sulfuros?
It took a while. Took I'm thinking at least 3 or 4 expansions. And the best part is Bolster still isn't played in that Taunt Warrior deck. So
Bolster rotated.
Yeah,
So
well, it wouldn't have been
there
played.
You go.
I've seen it in Wild. It's not a thing.
So there you go. Taunt Druid got Bolster printed in the form of Strong Shell Scavenger. I will see you in a year and a half when Taunt Druid is tier 1.
Interesting. Yeah, certainly they have, with things like Spreading Plague, you can get a lot of taunts very quickly. You can imagine, Spreading Plague on turn 5 and then turn 6, Druid of the Swarm into Strong Shell Scavenger. That's a whole bunch of 3/7s potentially. It just seems like it just relies on so many different things to go right. I'm more interested in whether you think that Hadronox couldn't be what would we need to see? What is the card that this is missing, I guess, for something like Hadronox to be the swing that it would ideally be?
The thing about taunt decks is that you have to be working towards something. The reason why Taunt Warrior didn't work before Angoro was because it didn't have a way to win the game. Because taunt minions are heavily defensively statted. So they have 2 attack, 6 health for a 3-drop. Oh, 1 attack, 6 health for a 3-drop. I guess that's great now. Thanks, Crypt Lord. But they are heavily skewed into defensive stats. So sure, you can build a big board of them. It's going to really slow your opponent down. And towards the end of the game, you can drop Hadronox, get a huge board full of more taunts, and maybe that's just how they win, is by generating so much effective health through all these taunts, so your opponent runs out of gas and just dies.
Mm-hmm.
But Taunt Warrior needed to literally have Ragnaros stapled to their face.
Yeah, I was gonna say the problem with that is I can't imagine ever winning a game with Taunt Warrior without the hero power. Like the other day I played like almost 15 games of Taunt Warrior and I won 4 games just because I rolled the dice on hero power and it happened to hit them in the face. Like, so what? I don't see Druid's win condition here. I don't, other than just hopefully out fatigue your opponent. Is that what it is?
That's basically it. When you're on the, like, if you're up against aggro, you mulligan away the quest.
Yeah.
And then the entire purpose is just wait until they run out of stuff, because they're probably going to need to spend more resources dealing with your taunts than you need to play another taunt. And the quest is just it's just window dressing at that point.
Yeah.
Aggro can't kill you with 0 cards in their hand.
This is a very true point.
Yeah, I mean, and that's ultimately where Hadronox, I guess, falls flat for me, is that, in theory, like, as you mentioned, you get rid of the quest, and you don't have to worry about the Ragnaros because you have enough of those middling cards. So you can't, like, theoretically, this Taunt Druid could do a similar thing, but at the same time, you don't have nearly the same power against a mid-range or a control deck, because it's nowhere near as big of a swing. And oh, by the way, I'd like to point out that Hadronox, it's a death rattle, not a battle cry. So if he's silenced, it just doesn't happen. And you wasted all this time. Like, it's so much more conditional. That makes it so much worse in my mind.
I didn't know.
And it doesn't even have taunt itself, so it's not like it's like, yeah, kill me, and then I'm gonna force you to kill me. So I just don't get it. I just don't see it. I don't see Taunt Druid being anything, because it seems so counterproductive to everything that Druid has wanted to accomplish.
Also, remember, Druid has terrible removal.
Yes.
Well, like, yeah. Taunt Warrior has Brawl. They can brawl you for days.
And execute.
Yeah.
and Ravaging Ghoul. Like, yeah, there's a lot of
weapons.
stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff
the
that
fish.
you can do. So
here's one question I have for you guys. Because we're accepting Taunt Druid seems really bad.
It's awful.
But there's one other thing that might be a thing for Druids. And that's Ramp Druid, like maybe even Jungle Giants in theory, with Ultimate Infestation as your finishing move. Where you get up, finally all your cards are super cheap. We always talk about Druid not having the draw engine to justify, playing a deck in which you're just basically hoping that all your stuff becomes free at some point. But dealing 5 damage, gaining 5 armor, getting a 5/5, all on in one card would be pretty good. But then getting to draw the 5 cards back up, now that's an engine that a Ramp Druid in theory should essentially would supposedly theoretically thrive with. Is that enough? Is that enough to turn Ramp Druid from like this kind of fringe, like I'm a player that spent way too much money on the game and I've got a ton of big legendaries and I just want to play a super greedy deck, into something that has a little bit more stability? Is that enough?
I don't think relying on a 10-cost card is I don't think that's enough. I don't think this magically makes Ramp Druid this amazing card. I think putting all your eggs into this one basket and praying that it works out for you, because this isn't an auto win in any, like, this isn't a finishing card. You still have to finish the game after this. All this might do is, like, if you're stalling out, it might help you out because you get those 5 cards back, you get a creature on the board, you get some armor. Like, this feels more like it feels like a tank of gas. It feels like you're running out of gas on the highway and your deck, tow truck comes by and they bring you a gallon of gas and say, here, this is so you can get to the next gas station. It doesn't feel like a finisher to me. It feels like let's keep this game going just a little bit longer. Let's stall it out a little bit more. Let's go. So I don't think it's all that great.
Let it be known, Internet, that on August 8th, 2017, Walter accidentally stumbled upon what the meaning of this card is gas means.
Congratulations. Well, welcome to the club. It's happy to have you here.
Oh, okay.
And let me remind you, by the way, if we're thinking about 10-cost cards, if I played Yogg-Saron and Yogg-Saron dealt 5 damage to the target I most wanted him to deal damage to, drew me 5 cards, gained me 5 armor, and summoned a 5/5 on my side of the board, I'd be thinking to myself, that was a pretty good Yogg-Saron. I'm pretty happy with how all of that worked out. That seems good to me. Alex, you're the deciding vote here. Is this good? Is this not good? Does it do enough? Am I wrong?
I don't know where to land on this card, actually. Because, sure, the Yogg-Saron, oh man, I draw a bunch of cards, I gain some health, I summon a minion, I shoot something. Yeah, that's a really good Yogg. Difference between that and this is that Yogg-Saron comes with a Yogg-Saron. This doesn't, but it's a very consistent Yogg-Saron. It's if he does this and then at the end he shadow or deaths himself, you're yeah, that's to be expected.
But I just remember playing Yogg or seeing Yogg being played. It's not as they all right, I want to kill my opponent, I'm playing Yogg-Saron. It's always as they well, I'm kind of screwed here if I don't play it, so let's roll the dice and pray to God here. That's what I mean. It's not my finishing move. It's my okay, here I'm rolling the dice, and this is just that it's rolling. It's when you're this card is playing blackjack, and your first 2 cards are always an 8 and a 7, and it's just you always get 8 and 7 or 8 and 8 or a 9 and a 7. You're always at 15 or 16 on the very first 2 cards you get.
I might make a comparison.
Mm-hmm.
This card, so Lay on Hands, Paladin,
yes.
Gain 8 life, draw 3 cards, 8 mana. This card is way more efficient than that because it deals damage. You might not gain as much health, but you still gain a substantial bit. You get a body for your trouble, and draw a ton of cards. There's no denying that the words on this card are powerful. This does insane things. In Magic, Cruel Ultimatum is back-breaking if it resolves. It does basically this, but in reverse, kinda. It ruins your opponent's life and not makes yours better. I think that the premise of this card lives and dies on just how slow the meta gets. And if a control druid deck can actually crop up and be successful. I don't know if it will, and that's why I'm hesitant to say oh my god, this card's amazing or oh, this card's terrible. Because, yeah, if you hit this on your top deck in a control mirror, this card is gas.
Mm-hmm.
Or you're against aggro and you just die before it resolves.
Right. Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, that's fair enough.
Should we talk Malfurion real quick?
Yeah, let's talk Malfurion. The Death Knights, they've been added because we had quested Unguro, and now we're gonna do these other weird legendary things that I'm not sure how great they are as a whole, personally. But Alex, what do you think of Malfurion the Pestilent?
7 mana, gain 15 life, get basically a one-shot Fiery War Axe or better armor up. That seems pretty good. I think the Malfurion's pretty decent. I think he's going to go in basically every Druid deck.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, right? The spiders are interesting, and you see between that and Webweave, Blizzard seems to really value the keyword poisonous, probably more than, it'll deserve at this spot. 7 mana, summoning 2 1/2s. Even if they are poisonous, I'm not sure how much that does for you.
Yeah.
It seems like there should be little things that can wipe out something with 2 health. But yeah, I mean, look, you get to cast in many ways a mini Feral Rage every turn. You get 3 attack instead of 4 attack, but for 1 less mana, that's great. Or you get 3 armor instead of the 8, but it's more efficient in its stats, right. And you can do it more often because it refreshes every turn. That all seems really good to me. And I do think the Scarabs are going to be way more popular than the Spiders, but I mean, it's a choose one ability, right? So combo that with Fandral. Let's have some Spiders and some Scarabs, guys. And choose one on the hero power. Let's get 3 attack and 3 armor during the turn.
Have they No, I thought they verified that it doesn't work.
Does it not?
I don't remember. I thought there was a discussion about this on the subreddit. like when it was announced. I don't remember off the top of my head. Because if it does work with Fandral, maybe that's kind of broken.
It says
So,
choose one
it
card.
says-
So it would affect the initial battle cry being played, but not the hero power because hero powers are not cards.
Okay,
There we
that's
go.
a good.
So it doesn't affect the hero power, but still getting the scarabs and the spiders is pretty nice. Like that's still it's not as huge of an upside, but like I'll take 2 spiders when they're hiding behind taunts because that gives me a much better chance of.
It depends on how big your board is.
Yeah,
You Savage Roar and kill them.
exactly. It's a lot. I like Malfurion the Pestilent, man.
Yeah, I think he's pretty good.
Okay, fair enough. We are gonna move on to Hunter. Midrange Hunter, I think, is the only thing that exists right now.
Yeah. Midrange Hunter is the only thing that has existed. Face Hunter was a lie, an illusion. It was midrange Hunter pretending to be aggro.
Quest Hunter made me sad because I loved that card. It was the first legendary and the first quest that I opened, and I was like, yeah, this is awesome. This is great. This is such a cool card. And then it was absolutely just not good. And anytime I ran into someone playing it, even in just like normals, I was always like, I'm there with you, buddy. I did not delete my Quest Hunter deck until like 3 weeks ago because I was just like, I'm never going to play this. It's taking up a deck slot. Chase, where does Hunter go from here? What do they do? Come on, I want to play Rexxar some more.
Well, first of all, if it makes you feel better, the first legendary I got was the Warlock quest, so it could always be worse, Walter. It can always be worse.
Hey, Brian Kibler has been rocking faces with that deck. I think he got like a 40% win rate with it last week.
This
man,
is true.
the whole 40%.
40%, yep.
There you go. Oh. Broken as hell. Look, I like, in general, this death rattle-oriented Hunter that we are starting to see them move more and more to as expansions go on. I think that we started seeing, things like Kindly Grandmother, the Fiery Bat, those are quintessential staples. Obviously, the Savannah Highmane is a huge death rattle thing. There are a lot of death rattle type minions. If you look at, the Infested Wolf or the Rat Pack or whatever, we already have a lot of death rattle. And what we have now are things like Play Dead, which are a little bit cheaper ways to activate those death rattles. People have pointed out, like, well, Feign Death wasn't played. Well, Feign Death was 2 mana. But when you have 2 mana as Rexxar, you want to be hero powering almost every time. For 1 mana, that fits a very different point in your curve. Maybe that's enough. I'm not sure, but it has a better chance. Absolutely. I think Corpse Widow, a 5 mana 4/6 beast, decent stat line for something that could enable you to flood the board a little bit more with death rattle stuff. I think the Abomination Archer could be great in and of himself. Hey, 7 mana 6/7, potentially get one of your Highmanes back seems pretty darn good. It's just really a matter of, can Rexxar scale a little bit more into the mid to late game? Because for any of these decks to succeed, you need to have enough time to maximize the value and make sure that you're consistently getting value over a broad enough set of your cards to win. And one of the reasons I think Hunter fell off towards the middle and the end of Ungaro is that the fast decks got faster and the slow decks did a much better job of getting that value. And so much of it to me is really going to come down to is something like, say, the Exploding Bloat Bat that does 2 damage to all enemy minions when it dies, or the Deathstalker Rexxar Battle Cry. Like, is that enough? Is that enough to reset the board around the mid game and allow you to start flooding all of these death rattle cards and getting that value back, and then using something like N'Zoth as a finisher? Like, can we get to that kind of Hunter? Not quite Control Hunter, a little bit longer scale of the game than mid-range, but kind of in between those spots. Is that too ambitious, Alex? Am I hoping for too many things to come from not enough cards here?
I don't know. I think you're on the right track. Like, the Stalker Rexxar has an AoE damage battle cry. You get some armor. That's definitely something that Hunter lacks. Like, much like Rogue doesn't have any healing, neither does Hunter. They've always been skewed very heavily towards this aggressive, win the game quickly play style. And things like that are going to help them. Build a Beast is an excellent value play, like long into the game when everybody's like out of resources. You can just keep on pumping out dudes. Control Paladin's big thing is just, okay, here's a 1/1, and a 1/1, and a 1/1. And like sometimes you just win solely because you just press your button every turn.
Right.
This is going to be in a similar way, except you're not pumping out 1/1s. You're pumping out giant beasts with insane abilities. And that's going to be nuts. Corpse Widow is going to be really cool when on like turn 7 or something. You're just like, high main, coin, high main. Like you can do that on turn 8. Wait, high main's 7? 6?
6.
6 up.
6,
Yeah,
yeah,
so
so turn 8, yeah.
High main,
Yeah,
high
turn-
main on turn.
Turn
eight
se-
seems
turn
pretty
yeah,
good.
turn 7 you could coin out 2 high mains if the Corpse Widow was still on the board.
New Call of the Wild Kappa.
No,
I miss pre-nerf
but-
Call of the Wild. I'm gonna be that guy.
But if you want to meme people, if you really want to meme people, let me sell you High Main Tribal. You play Stitch Tracker, and just get copies of your Savannah High Mains to then get brought back by your Abomination Archer Death Rattles. 12 Rhino was a thing in cons in Drags the Tarkir standard.
Yeah.
Let's make Savannah 12 High Main.
I play N'Zoth and get 6 more high mains back. Like,
Yes.
I mean,
High Main
like-
Tribal. Let's make it happen, internet.
That'll be a disguised Toaster Kibler deck like 2 months into the expansion. Just on like Kibler probably he'll be like, oh, this seems like this will be really funny to play, and he'll have like a 30% win ratio with it. But just that one moment where there's 6 high mains on the board.
Oh man. Now I know what I'm gonna be doing at the start of this expansion other than playing Quest Mage.
I mean,
Oh my
is there anything in Hunter? I know I just I
There's
don't
a lot of cool tools. It's just how they come together and if they come together.
yeah.
Hunter players, do not be afraid, because Hunter was the premier aggro deck in slower metas, because you have that hero power which can just constantly apply pressure. I don't necessarily know if it will be good enough given how well a lot of the other cards in this set will slow the game down and give your opponent more health, like through lifesteal and the armor from the Death Knights coming on, and things like Bring It On in Warrior, giving them 10 armor for 2 mana, which is insane, aside from its drawback. Like, maybe the Hunter hero power isn't going to be good enough to continue to be that threat, that Hunter of slow decks, but that's what they've done in the past, and hopefully that doesn't change.
And
You know
and
what-
if
what
not,
helps with that? Bear Shark. All
And,
hail the Bear Shark. You can't Frostbolt it, but
Wait.
it could trade up.
Bear Shark,
mean,
yeah, Bear Shark's a
That has
4/3
potential
for
to
3.
trade up quite easily.
And
I
you know,
mean,
and if none of it works out, there's always the Quest deck, and we can just play it, and we'll be ranked 25, and we'll enjoy our one cost minions and going into battle, and I'll see the 3 other people that play that deck in normals, and it'll be fantastic. It'll be great. It'll be wonderful.
I'm trying to think about like what 1-drops. I guess the Wretched Tiller could be fun.
Like nothing. There was nothing added in here. That's the thing, is like there are some classes where Blizzard did absolutely nothing to build upon Quest for them in this expansion. And then other ones you're like, oh, okay. Well, and I don't know. Alex, anything else you want to say about Hunter? I know you kind of did your little, keep calm. Maybe it'll work out for
I'm
you.
trying super hard to find it right now because it has like a really weird name. But
Okay.
in the latest block from Magic, there is actually just like a 4/3 hexproof creature in green for 3 mana. And I can't find it for the life of me. It has a difficult to spell name.
So that's the Bear Shark is obviously Kibler telling the Hearthstone devs, listen, make this card because it's kind of funny, and we'll make it half bear, half shark. That
Yeah,
makes
but
sense.
it's not a tiger snake.
No, it's not a tiger snake.
All right, let's move on to
can I-
Mage.
we just hold on before we move on. I want to pour one out for Professor Putricide. You were dead on arrival before we even had a chance to mourn you. This 5-4 for 4 is just not good enough. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
He's
good
dead.
enough.
He's undead.
I mean, it's true.
That's how dead he is that he's undead.
I should have seen that coming. I absolutely should have seen that coming. You can't play dead with him though. So how undead is he really?
No one cares about Professor Putricide when you can be a mage player. Because, holy crap, did mage get better? Question mark?
Wait, wasn't Mage already good?
Yeah. So, like, they're the best. They have the #1 deck. Like,
Yeah. So the #1 deck from Ungaro and the Control Priest, and Control Mage, and then of course you have Freeze Mage, which is still a thing. And oh, by the way, there have been several aggro mage lists that have been roaming around the middle of the standings. Yeah, and by the way, let's not forget Secret Mage, or I don't know, OTK Mage, which is a thing.
No, it's Exodia Mage, damn it. It's Exodia Mage. I don't care that the Hearthstone subreddit was complaining about us calling every one-turn kill deck an Exodia deck. It's an Exodia deck. Stop it.
I like the Exodia deck term for the new Paladin Death Knight a little bit more, but I'm happy to call it Exodia Mage. That's fine. You don't miss a pieces. Doesn't matter. Moral of the story is that's the one deck that if you look through here, immediately got better in a tangible. We know it will be better for having had this card way. Mostly because we know that it has now, Ghastly Conjurer, which is a 4-mana 2/6 already decent stat line. Add a mirror image to your hand. You get even more defensive stats for that. It's going to be great against aggro, and it's going to give you a little bit more time to make that work, and give you that free spell there.
That's how you build a wall right there. That card right there, that's value, and that builds a wall.
It does help.
Don't you bring that memery into my Quest Mage conversation.
I will say it's unfortunate that most of the other, when it looks at, different generators of random cards, have mostly been minions. Like Frostclone is minions, so that's not going to apply for your OTK quest. Simulacrum is something that I can't wait to see whether OTK people end up using it. I think it's a great way to get another Sorcerer's Apprentice from your hand, so you don't have to worry so much about having the Molten Reflections. Maybe that's something like for 1 mana cheaper, maybe that's worth it. You have to set it up in a different way, but it could be a thing. At the very least, you get that from a Primordial Glyph, and you're feeling damn happy about it. But ultimately, it's so many of these things. It just comes down to do you believe that Elemental Mage is going to be a thing? Because if so, we already have the Pyros, we already have. You can see some of them in some of the lower levels of the ladder, and now you have the Ice Walker, and having the ability to freeze something every turn for 2 mana seems pretty good. That seems like something that could buy time for a lot of your bigger value cards. Syndragosa is going to be. I mean, there's a lot that could be in play here on control stuff, but it's just a matter of, I feel like control would have to fundamentally change the type of control it's been right now. I mean, Alex, where do you think? Do you think that this is a new breed of control, or is this just kind of a slight kind of skin change for the control deck with what we got here?
I think it's a skin change. I don't think that control Control Mage changes very much. They'll throw Frostlich Jaina in there because that card is bonkers. Mm-hmm. But I don't think that they're going to go full on Elemental. It blew my mind when I realized oh yeah, Elemental Mage is kind of a thing, and she makes all of the cards in your deck have lifesteal, which is nuts. I'm not super high on Simulacrum. Somebody get a Latin. Walter, do you not know any Latin experts to be on the pod for this specific 30 seconds we need them?
I do not. No, I don't. I'm not friends with very many Latin studies majors.
Make Nick the producer get on that. What is he doing now? Why can't we put him on Latin?
Nick the producer is working on a very, very special project. I'll put it that way. There's a reason that there's some doors back here. You know.
Okay.
Is he announcing my victory of the fantasy league?
I feel like we
Well, he
all
doesn't
lost.
like talking about losing. Anyways,
Yeah.
Guess the Conjurer, Quest Mage, Rejoice. I have a 4-drop. I feel bad for Shaman. We're gonna get to their woes in a bit. That Frost Shock is now strictly worse than a mage card, as is ought to be.
Mm-hmm.
Ice Walker seems dope. Glacial Mysteries seems really cool at first blush, but is
Yeah.
Mage got some cool stuff. That's like the long and short of it, is that they got a lot of cool things, but none of it really feels like it's pulling me in a direction. Like, oh, let's make this a deck. Like, here's like a piece for this. Here's
Yeah,
something
it had
for this.
cool things that made their already good decks even better. That's
think
kind of what it comes down to.
I think Syndragosa might justify Dragon Mage.
Yeah, you wrote that down in the show
Yes.
notes. So I just think Syndragosa is just a good card that you might be able to plug in to a deck anyways and like replace Medivh maybe? Or no, Medivh's too good? Okay.
He was too good to cut, but you could,
Okay.
you could like plug Syndragosa anywhere. It's just like turn 10, Syndragosa, ping 1 Frozen Champion, get a legendary on board. Oh no, it's
Yeah.
just a hand.
It's to hand.
But like just having like a big card advantage, legend, dragon, I feel like that might be enough to be like, hey guys, we got like this, we got the Bone Drake. That's why. Because much how Control Paladin popped up after people realized how frequently you were getting like Tyrion and Ring
off of
Flame
Stonehill.
off of Stonehill. Like as soon as I saw Syndragosa and Bone Drake, I'm like, oh.
Are there
that's
any
a
other
point.
mage dragons out there?
And another Spite Historian.
Yeah, not in
Think
standard.
about it.
Not in standard. Kildara Drake is in Wild, which somebody out there is thinking to themselves, how can I get like Kildara Drake plus whatever it is that makes your hero powers cost 0? I'm forgetting that card right now. And then using it with like some icy touch shenanigans or
You could
Yeah,
just kill
something.
them. You could just kill your opponent at that point.
that's fair. But it's
Speaking of Jaina,
yeah.
let's talk about Jaina.
Oh my.
Do we have to? Do we have to? This is a spicy card. This card is
a good
amazing.
Card. This is an amazing
know-
card.
I know that these are all the things that I said about Open the Waygate, but this card is like actually insane.
Well, Open the Waygate turned out to be pretty insane in its own right, so...
Yeah, I mean, like, the time, like, taking an extra turn is as broken as I thought it would be. Trust me, I play a bunch of Quest Mage. But the path to getting there is hard.
Yeah.
Control Mage exists. We can survive until at least turn 9 pretty consistently.
Yeah, you can get
And
like
this
3
card?
ice blocks.
He's crazy!
Yeah. The question really to me becomes, if you're playing Jaina and Syndragosa in your control mage, which seems like natural fits, well, what are you cutting? Like, are you cutting Pyroblast and you're saying we don't really care so much about having the burst because we have so much of the board now and we have so much card advantage now that we don't need the burst? Are you cutting, like you said, you're not cutting Medivh, but Medivh is a perfect example of a card that's all about churning value. Like what are you getting rid of? Because we can't have so much on the top end without making a deck that's so greedy you lose some of the consistency that we have now.
I think you don't add Syndragosa. I think that you probably cut the Pyroblast and just play Frostless Jaina instead and just grind them to dust.
Yeah.
Or snow, because everything's ice at this point.
So to me, it almost makes it like Frostlich Jaina is absolutely in there, but it does seem like there's some interchangeability with like Alexstrasza, Syndragosa, Pyroblast, Medivh,
That being said,
Antonidas in some decks.
Chase,
Yeah,
again,
yes.
you blew my mind when you pointed out pinging the Frozen Champion
Yeah.
with Icy Touch. Like, turn 9, Jaina, turn 10, Syndragosa, ping my dude, random legendary to my hand. Now I have an 8/8 dragon and a 3/6 lifesteal water elemental. Holy! Oh my god! This card is insane!
Yeah, the combo there could be huge, and maybe that's enough. You cut Pyroblast and Medivh and just assume, like, look, I can just ping all the things, and I can constantly get these water elementals. And water element, I mean, 4 mana 3/6, like on its own is really good, and then you give it lifesteal, and it just seems absurd, especially because it can freeze the big things. So much of this could be fun. I definitely feel like it's going to push Mage in that heavy control direction, or the heavy combo in OTK. Freeze Mage, I'm very curious what happens to, because it already felt like Freeze Mage was being a little bit, not necessarily blocked out by Control Mage, but they fill a lot of similar kind of places.
Yeah.
You know, Control Mage was more grinding out the board. Freeze Mage is more about making it so the board doesn't matter so much. But it just feels like if Control Mage gets the reliability that we think something like Frostlich Jaina brings, and I think that it does, I'm not sure like why you would play Freeze Mage over that, other than because Freeze Mage is always played, and we just assume that it will always work.
Freeze Mage is a universal constant, like gravity.
Yeah.
Freeze Mage is always something that's going to exist. It's just that there will be things that overshadow it, and then when those things get figured out, you can always kind of fall back and just rely on, okay, well, Frost Mage is a thing. Frost Mage is a thing that works because it interacts so well with everything. It's the Oriana of Mage decks, basically.
Man, I feel like there was a missed opportunity to reprint Ice Lance. Just feel like, here you go, guys.
Oh my god.
Have fun.
That
Don't
would
kill
be
people.
awful if it existed right now.
Yeah, well, this is why we have enemy minion on Breath of Sidrigosa. They are trying to forget about dealing freeze damage to the face, at least for now. Wild, by the way, is going to get super fun after this expansion. I feel like there are so many cards here that could potentially just break Wild. And I can't wait.
You and Alex can have a Wild podcast some other time. I don't care about Wild. I didn't play enough early on to care about Wild.
I will say. All right. So hold on. So 9 mana. So Frostless Jaina 9 mana, busted.
Yep.
Can I sell you guys for the low price of 3 mana Tyrion in your hand all the time?
Yes, it's time to talk about Paladin now. And Alex like put this in bold in like 72-point font. Howling Commander for Paladin, always have Tyrion.
That whole thing I said about Gwent consistency.
Alex, is it as good as you think it is? Yes, it's that good. I think it's that good. I think that's a really, really good card with Tyrion.
Like, I thought about it for a minute. I'm like, okay, do you play 2? Yes. Even if the second one is, even if you're only getting Tyrion with this, and the second Howling Commander is like the worst thing you could possibly draw, yeah, still seems pretty good.
Yeah.
What about if you have more Divine Shields in your deck? Like Wicker Flame Burn Bristle? That guy's also insane. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll take either of them at any moment.
That's really going to be good. The only thing that keeps me from saying, like, at some point you realize that Howling Commander works in a very particular style of deck. It works very well in the Control Paladin that we have right now, because the only 2 cards that you would put in there that you'd ever want to draw with Divine Shield is basically Tyrion, and if you're playing Wicker Flame main deck, which not a lot of them are doing, but some people do, you get those 2. That's guaranteed draw. There is another, like, there's the Divine Shield deck that they're pushing in this expansion. And the Divine Shield deck involves the Righteous Protector, which seems really good to me. You basically get, the 1 mana 1/1 whose name I'm forgetting. Argent Squire.
4 Argent Squires. Just 2 of them have taunt.
Yeah, but the 2 with taunt.
Hey, maybe this means that Small Time Recruits will be a good card.
It could be, honestly. Like, just because of the way that something like Righteous Protector deals with aggro, the fact that it has taunt, which means you have to trade into it and you have to ping it off rather than the other way around, that seems good to me. If aggro is a thing, then that does such a good job protecting it. I think the Desperate Stand works so well with Death Rattle with Divine Shield cards, because it's a Ancestral Spirit that you can activate on your turn. So you know your Tyrion's going to die. Well, play that, trade into it. Hey, Tyrion's back with Divine Shield. So you activated the redemption on. It's more of redemption on your turn, I guess, but it's got the cost of an Ancestral Spirit, which is fine. Like, I feel like that's fine, because there are so many cards in Paladin that you would be happy just bringing back up with 1 health. Bolvar Fireblood is a thing that
When does he trigger?
after a friendly
After friendly.
No,
loses
I
Divine
mean,
Shield.
okay. When is a bad question? Where does he trigger?
Yeah, no, that's the concern. That playing a 5-mana 1/7 seems like a concern to me as well. I see where your problem lies.
But we have seen that like Blizzard and Team 5 are learning. So is this just like if he's in your deck, buff him? Because the big problem with the original Bolvar was that he had to be in your hand, and then he got silenced immediately. Also, you're gonna play him, and he's gonna get silenced immediately. Sorry, Bolvar, you're better now. I still don't think you're good. I don't know. 7 toughness for 5. 5 mana is pretty good. He could be good. I hope he's good. I'd
It's
like him to
only
be good.
on the board, so
Oh no, bad card.
yeah, no, it's
Sorry, Bolvar.
it's way too slow. I mean, you're imagining at that point like you're looking at a deck that runs. Well, I mean, basically you'd have to go to Wild, go like Muster for Battle, plus the 3-mana 3/3 that gives Divine Shield to all your minions with 1 health, and then like the next turn you're trading all of them up and you play Bolvar knowing that you're getting all of that buff right away, but as you said, that he just gets silenced and you're sad. So I guess the question is, do we think that enough of these other Divine Shield cards are good enough that it would limit the effectiveness of Howling Commander, or do we just ignore things like Righteous Protector on the whole and say that that's not good enough because the cards that we can get instead are that much better?
So, I think that there's a deck that Righteous Protector belongs in. It's not Divine Shield Paladin, and I don't think the deck is good. I don't think that's a deck. Quest Paladin.
Oh. Do we believe?
I
Do
mean,
we believe?
you saw the picture I posted on Twitter. I almost got my face stomped by Quest Paladin. And then I took an extra turn and killed him.
Yeah, well.
Did you see his board, though? Like, I could not interact with him.
Yeah, I mean, it was clearly you should have played Kazakus and gotten the Polymorph Fall enemy minion spell. You should have played around that. But
Absolutely.
yeah. Look, Desperate Stand and Dark Conviction both feel like great target spells, right? They're pretty cheap, so they should be easy to play, if not quite on curve, at least near enough to the curve that you could hopefully be getting Galvadon at a reasonable time. Dark Conviction is something that I genuinely do believe we're going to see some value in, if only because we've seen now how much Sunkeeper Tarim just bringing certain cards to 3/3 is super relevant. Getting kind of a miniature version of that effect, it could be enough for a Quest Paladin to be at least no longer completely immune. It's still like the card draw is still the problem I have with any Quest Paladin deck. There isn't continuous, reliable card draw that means to you get to those points. And like Dark Conviction on its own, just setting a minion to 3 attack and 3 health, is that worth what you're cutting to have that card in the deck? Is the
Probably
Desperate...
not.
Yeah. Desperate Stand, I think, makes a play. I know that people are saying, well, it's redemption for 1 more mana, but the ability to be able to control it on your turn, I think that's going to be good enough.
The Murloc. You Desperate Stand the Murloc.
Oh.
Because then you get the Desperate Stand back.
Yeah, that's true.
I still think Quest Paladin's bad, but I just blew my own mind.
That's interesting. That's actually very interesting. Okay.
I didn't think about that, but yeah, that's a very good point.
Thievery aside, so I want to talk about Uther because like Paladin is just super memey this expansion, but I want to get like one little serious nugget in there, and it's Blackguard. Because this expansion, we get Lifesteal as like a mechanic. The whole not Succubus, Pain Mistress. The whole old Pain Mistress mechanic is coming back in a big way. And we're seeing a lot of control decks coming, so healing is probably also going to be a thing. Like, in one sentence, do you think we'll see Blackguard, like, dunking guys left and right while you lay on hands yourself?
In Trollden videos, yes. In an actual standard environment, what are you cutting at the 6 cost spot? Because you're not. Are you going to cut Spike Ridge Steed? I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think you're cutting Sunkeeper Tarim. Like you've got to decide. Like at some point, you're having to decide what it is that you're going to make. You know how you're making room for that package, and I'm not sure. Like, I mean, maybe the answer is Primordial Drake. Maybe that you say like, look, I don't have to worry about the taunt so much because I have enough life gain now that I don't have to worry about protecting myself. And Primordial Drake wasn't dealing with aggro anyways. He didn't really need it for that end of it. And the health back and getting to deal that random damage and the right board state can be better than Primordial Drake for less mana. Like maybe that's the answer. I don't know, but you're cutting something, and you're already fitting in that style of deck. You're fitting in the Death Knight Uther, so you're already cutting at least one thing to put that in there. So it does feel like either you're shifting the style of deck that it belongs to into like a full-on like life stealy grindy kind of thing, or you're cutting some of the top end stuff that right now we believe is just uncuttable because of the value that we believe it gets in the long run. That's going to be the tough part for me, is just figuring out where it splits. But it is a good card. This card will be in a like top tier standard deck before it rotates out 2 years from now. Like that card is good. It's just a matter of, will we need more stuff to be printed? Will we need some of the things that are overpowered now to rotate out? Like, I don't know. But that is a good card. It just needs to find the right deck for it.
Fair enough.
But yeah, let's talk about Death Knight, because you have
serious moment over. Back to me, Marie. Bring me to the apocalypse.
I love this card. I love it so much. I want to play this plus Auction Master Beardo and just make it happen, man. Gotta be.
How many coins do you need to kill them?
I don't know.
You have to activate the Four Horsemen ability 5 times. That's 10 mana.
Yeah.
And you need to get 4 resets off of Beardo.
So you have to
play Beardo. So you need to spend 13 mana.
I don't think you have to do it the 5th time. I think it's once you have all 4. Like it's auto. It's
you summon the. Okay, so you only have to activate it 4 times. You need 11.
What you do.
You need 11 and 3 resets.
Yeah.
11 mana and 3 resets. Okay.
Berkeley Bully the turn before. So you have a whole bunch of coins, in theory. And then use the coins to reset the hero power with Beardo, plus getting that more mana. So you can then kind of fudge some of the numbers that we're talking about in terms of just having the raw mana for it. I mean, I think it's difficult because if Burgley Bully is down and they have the Death Knight, like, you just know you can't play spells. Please, for the love of God, don't give him so many free spells. But someone's going to make that mistake, right? Like, it's totally going to happen. It's just a matter of, like, is it consistent enough? And I don't think the Paladin's draw is consistent enough to make that happen quite yet. But
maybe this is the deck that Blackguard plays in.
Yeah, maybe this is the deck. Yeah, maybe this is just the lifesteal, and we buy enough time where we eventually grind you out, and you can't deal with our 2/2s while you're dealing with all the other threats we're putting out on the board. Maybe that's enough. Like that's a solid point, especially because the 5/3 lifesteal weapon's immediately built into it. So deal 5 damage to something for basically nothing back, but then deal another 5 damage to a random enemy minion thanks to Blackguard at the same time. Those swings, you're basically swinging for 10 across potentially 2 minions. That hurts. That hurts really hard.
Send me the memes, boys. After this expansion launches on the 10th, I want to see your Death Knight Uther kills.
God.
Make it happen.
It's so memey. And I want, like, this feels like another Galvadon style card where I wish it worked. But, like, man, if it works, it's going to be so dumb in the best way, and I can't wait. This will be what I will be doing as the second thing after this expansion drops. That will get the second most amount of my time. There's one meme I want to do before that. And we're getting as a priest, so I'm excited to talk about it.
I'm glad you are. Someone should be excited to talk about Priest.
Oh, hold on now.
Someone should enjoy playing Priest.
Walter, you're an aggro player.
Yes.
I think it's time. I think it's time to have the aggro priest discussion. Because we have Shadow Ascendant, 2 mana 2/2. At the end of your turn, give another friendly minion +1/+1.
Okay.
And Happy Growl, a 3 mana 3/3 that if you've been healed is free.
Yeah.
Now I'm pretty sure that there's a 1-drop from Ungoro. It's like a 1 mana 1/2 battle cry, deal 1 damage to both heroes.
Yes, that is true.
So we've existed in a world where aggro decks have played 1 mana 1/2s on turn 1 for a very long time, all the way back to the days of Face Hunter playing the Worgen.
I'm with you so far.
Turn 1, you play this guy. You take 1, they take 1. Turn 2, you heal yourself, drop 2 0 mana 3/3s and pass.
Also,
Okay.
Just to bring this up, because wait, no, Shadow Bomber was in Goblins versus Gnomes. Well, never mind. I was about to bring up a card that would have made it even more.
Oh, great! More wild conversation. Beautiful,
I'm
wonderful.
Wait. What about the Spawn of Shadows? Isn't that
Spawn of
Whispers?
Yeah, Spawner Shadows should be able to do it.
There you go. Fixed it. Not a single problem was had.
Yeah, that seems 4 damage to each hero
Yeah.
every time you use your Inspire. Oh wait, no, it's
It's
sorry.
Inspire.
Yeah, TG2. Never mind. Well, look, it still
Back to
has
wild, I guess.
some. Yeah. Look, it still has some things. I think that Dark Cultist giving the +3 health will always make your board stick. It could be a mid-rangey thing, or looking at, you look at the lifesteal of the Acolyte of Agony, thus guaranteeing that you're getting the heal without actually having to spend your curve healing your guy. Like there are ways around it. Spirit Lash is something that will almost certainly be played, just because Maelstrom Portal, but with a whole bunch of lifesteal attached to it. Even if it is a dual-sided effect where your minions take the damage as well. Like I think that it has value.
You just get double the lifesteal then. That's all that is. You get more lifesteal. You
Yeah,
damage your own minions for more life. I like that. That's a very Warlock thing to do.
Yeah, it's a very
We'll get to
could very
them
much-
later.
Yeah, Warlock it gets, that's for sure. But yeah, look, I think a lot of this Priest expansion, in all reality, is about like this mid-rangey version of the game. You look at Eternal Servitude as something that I absolutely love in a mid-range style deck. Discover a friendly minion that died this game. I get to discover, which gives me much more certainty on what it is I'm bringing back. Play something like Barnes to get a big drop for my deck. It is 1/1, it probably dies, but now I have the Eternal Servitude to then bring it back at full health. I get a Ysera that way, for instance. Like, there are some fun things you could do with that to really ramp up the pace of the game and get some of these control cards snuck out there. I want to believe that Shadow Essence can be a thing. 5/5 copy of a random minion in your deck. Play things with insane abilities, and just get a 5/5 copy of them. Kind of, maybe you do it in a deck that's kind of like the anti-Shadow Visions, where you only play a couple minions, so you're guaranteed to get one of the ones you need to go combo crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you play that and you get Lyra, and it's Lyra's in your deck, the 2 guys that reduce the cost of spells, and you cast Shadow Essence, you get your 5/5, and you start spamming all of the cheap spells, and you go off in some like weird janky combo-y thing, knowing that you still have the second Lyra in your deck safe and sound. I don't know. It feels like mostly memes. Like, I think it's safe to say Devour Mind is memes. I think it's safe to say that Archbishop Benedictus, which is my Instacraft on day one, I'm in love.
You're a terrible person. You're a terrible person.
I am, and it's gonna be a great time. We're gonna have a great time memeing the hell out of people by just taking their deck and going full on Reform adventure mode on it. Oh, that looks like a good deck. I think I'll take it, and then combo that with something like some full meme. Like my dream in my heart of hearts is to get Archbishop Benedictus from a Renounce Lock and play Renounce Darkness to change his deck into a random thing, plus my deck thrown in there of all randomy kind of spells, and just have the most fun, terrible game of all time. That's my dream right there, and you can't take my dream away from me, Walter. You can be as cynical as, but you can't take my dream.
Do you want to renounce dankness? What do you think of embracing it?
Oh my goodness! I
like the what do you think about like the 6 mana slow roll mind control? Like, jokes aside, do you actually think that could be a good card?
In the right meta, yes. My concern is that there are a lot of cards, especially as we have things like Death Rattles and Life Steals, that should make silence more of a thing. And, you know, you silence the thing that you're trying to embrace darkness with. So there's some counterplay in there. Though if you copy something that has a Death Rattle of its own or some powerful ability on its own, forcing them to silence, it seems pretty good for you. So that alone maybe has a little bit of value. I think the problem with it is just at 6 mana, like, that's usually a turn in which you're trying to do something like Dragonfire if you've lost the board. Like, what is a situation where they have, like, one big thing that you want to take, and you don't want to, like, Shadow Word Death and get a board of your own? You don't have to worry about, like, clearing the board because there are a lot of things outside of just the one thing. Like, there's a reason Corruption isn't played, right? Like, there's, like, slower cards like that in Hearthstone have yet to have found any significant play. So I don't know. I want, like, it'd be cool. It would be really cool if it could work, but I'm just trying to think of, like, where it would fit. Like, again, what are you cutting in a Control Priest, which is a deck that you like? Are you taking away the Mind Control at the top of your list, which is really just there because you get the 10-drop with Medivh, and it can be like a super swing? Is this enough that you're willing to take like a slower 6 mana swing? I don't know. I mean, what do you think? You have a little bit more experience with just coming from Magic with these kind of mind control-y effects. There's not really another great comparison other than mind control for this in Hearthstone. So, based on what you know about Magic, is this powerful enough at 6 mana?
Probably not. I was curious to see where you came down on it, because, yeah, like, you embrace darkness, their guy, and then they either, like, kill their guy, they silence their guy. But maybe, like, in Arena, maybe. I was just curious to see where you came down on it, because I'm like, 6 mana mind control, okay.
Yeah.
How about Obsidian Statue? Like, that and Death Knight Anduin, who we'll get to in a second, like, seem to be the two big bright spots, at least in my opinion. Where do you come down on Obsidian Statue?
Obsidian Statue could be good, man. That just does so many things that you want in a card when you're playing your entire turn around it, because for 9 mana, that's your whole turn. It's not like you can hero power afterwards, and there aren't so many 1-drops that you're looking to play on like a turn 10 behind this. But you get the taunt, which is great against some sort of like mid-rangey board that you're probably going up against at this time. The lifesteal is a great way to get back into it, but more importantly, even if your opponent removes it, well, you get to destroy a random thing. Now, that's probably not going to be great against something like a Paladin, for instance, where, okay, you destroy maybe one of his 1/1s if the RNGesus roll goes bad against you. But if we're looking at a more control-y style meta, right, which is the kind of thing that we're talking about, these decks could slow down. Destroying a random minion, if those minions are of average value or better across the board, something that's significant enough that it would draw a removal spell otherwise, like, it has this upside, but even the base level is not bad against a good chunk of the classes. So much of this, again, is going to come down to, like, how prevalent is silence. Because if silence is super prevalent, then, like, Obsidian Statue is just too much of a risk. You don't get any immediate value off of it. And as we've found in Hearthstone, so many of these decks rely on, well, do I get immediate value? Or is the value so high on the upside? Like stealing a random enemy minion with Sylvanas meant that that made sense. This is destroying it, which it just
It feels like to me is going to be a card that's going to be later on in the set once it makes this full-on transition into a much slower play style where people aren't going to be wasting a card slot on something like something that has silent islands or something because it's just either you don't need it or it just doesn't fit into a deck very well. I don't know. I feel like we're going to be in this weird overlap for the next couple weeks where we're going to have this residual of like the aggro that came from Ungaro into all of this where it's all about slowing it down, and then eventually people are going to go, okay, well now we need to play more mid-range, now we need to play more control, now we need to play slower stuff that has bigger endgame type cards because there's too much stopping us if we don't kill someone by turn 4. Like that type of thing. And that means that Obsidian Statue then, as the games go later and later, it has more as the meta shifts to this later and later time frame and your late game becomes longer, then to me that fits a little bit like it's a better fit in that type of meta where maybe they wasted a Spellbreaker earlier, they wasted a Silence earlier, they wasted their Hex earlier on something that was a little bit more dangerous. Like this feels like a card that you're playing on turn like 13, maybe 14, like later on in the game.
Yeah. I was excited about this card until I had to explain why I was excited about it. And then I remember that 9-mana cards that don't do anything immediately are never played in Hearthstone. Like in the history of Hearthstone, we have never seen a 9-mana card that did not have an immediate battle cry or effect of value played. Because it just takes up your whole turn and you don't have a great way to maneuver your mana slots accordingly. You can't hero power afterwards. You can't try to set up some other thing. Mm-hmm. If this was at 8 mana, it'd be broken. I think at 9 mana, it's fair, and that's why I don't think it'll see play ultimately.
Card's fair, not good for constructed.
Yeah. Oh, in Arena, though, this thing is going to mess some people up. Like, oh my god, in Arena where you don't have that reliable silence, you don't have an easy way to deal with it. Like, if you get Obsidian Statue, you're just going to watch this person you tried to nail down just heal all the way back up off of this lifesteal, and then it kills your board after. It's just a giant middle finger. Like
Stonehill Defender.
Yeah, Stonehill Defender. Oh, that's a great point, too. If I get this off of a Stonehill Defender, I'm a lot happier about it. That's actually a really good point.
Is Priest going to start playing Stonehill Defender just to high roll the Obsidian Statue against people?
Oh my god.
Is this the world we live in where just like every single taunt that gets printed is like, oh man, Stonehill Defender is like insane.
Oh god.
It's totally in play. Why isn't Archbishop Benedictus a 4/6 with taunt just so I could get him off of a Stonehill Defender? That's all come on.
Because you're a Priest player and you don't deserve anything.
Well.
Look at Anduin. Even Anduin's angry. He's a priest.
Hey!
Can we? Yeah, let's talk about Anduin. Anduin seems really good to me.
8 mana, kill everything that matters.
Plus a hero power of deal 2 damage, and by the way, you can do this a whole bunch if you have spells for it. Talk about another Burgley Bully deck. Oh my goodness.
My God. Even Lyra.
Elemental Priest. That's where this fits. Elemental Priest.
Why does Ungoro keep on getting better every single card? Like, every single card we talk about in Frozen Throne, we keep on going back to Ungoro and being like, oh man, this card's actually super insane. This is like half Frozen Throne commentary, half Ungoro retrospective.
Isn't it great that Blizzard created a second set that was actually kind of furthers the ideas of the first set in a year?
Listen.
Isn't that a crazy way to design cards? We had a whole history of a game.
Wait. Did they do anything to further anything they did to Druid or Hunter from Ungaro in this pack, in this set? No, they didn't. No, they didn't. No, they didn't really.
Do you want a more powerful Jade Druid? Is that something you want?
Probably not. I don't want a more powerful priest deck.
Hunter, on the other hand, is just a big, long class fantasy con. It's like, Hunter, you're a tracker. You got to go find your way. Here's a bunch of stuff. Make it happen.
Every expansion, I believe Blizzard gets in a circle and is like, so this time Control Hunter's a thing, right? Like, this time for sure. And we're going to be like 8 expansions down the line, and they're like, no, but this time for sure, though.
Well,
Midrange Hunter's like,
Savannah Highmane rotated 2 sets ago.
Well,
What do we do?
Well, there is one thing we are absolutely certain of when it comes to Blizzard. Miracle Rogue will always be a thing.
Death
Yeah.
Tax is a Miracle Rogue. The 3 certainties of life.
Yes, yes it is. Alex, Miracle Rogue has survived forever. So, if I didn't want to play Miracle Rogue, and I'm not going to play Quest Rogue anymore because it became a dumpster fire, what do I do? What do I do if I want to play Rogue?
You play the other perennial Rogue deck, aggro. Like, that's it, boys. You play Miracle, you play aggro, you either play Miracle Rogue, aggro Rogue, or why are you playing Rogue?
Hey, is there?
Do we need to have do we need to have, like... I know that Sunkeeper Tarim, like, and Hydrologist made Paladin really good, especially after in Ungoro. Here we go with more Ungoro retrospective. Like, I know that our Ungoro look on Paladin was really like, is this card good? No. Is this card good? No. Is this card good? Hopefully.
Mhm.
That's the high point, is hopefully. I feel like we're kind of at the same point with Rogue, except here it's not like, oh my god, what do they do? Because we have the answer. You play Miracle.
Well,
So, like...
here's the thing. I think they genuinely believe that they have created a scenario in which people are going to want to play a more board-centric rogue. I look at Plague Scientist as a perfect example of a card that they have created, believing that this fixes rogues' hard removal problem. You play a cheap thing, they play a big thing that you're afraid of. You play the Plague Scientist on a combo, and you get to kill the big thing because you just gave out Poisonous. That seems good. You know, we have the weapon from the card from the last expansion that gave your weapon Poisonous, and now you have Doomerang, so you could throw it at that minion without having to take the damage yourself, and you get to kill the thing. It comes back to your hand, then you replay the weapon that you want. That seems good. Shadow Blade, if we're going to go for, like, you know, oh, but we're afraid that we don't have the life that we need. Well, now you're immune during the turn in which you play it. So that's, you know, a 3 mana, I take no damage, you know, 3 mana, I take no damage this turn, and I get to deal 3 damage to a creature. That seems like it could be good. And then you Doomerang it, and then you get to play it when it's a 3/1 again, and now you get to be immune 2 turns in a row. That, I mean, that doesn't actually sound good, but it sounds like a thing you could do. Like,
Wait,
like all of these, like, I'm describing all of these, like, weird convoluted things,
So
and
what
then I'm
about
realizing
this?
that, yeah,
What about this?
I could just play Miracle.
Pirate
really
Rogue.
convoluted about it. No, stop it.
Pirate
No.
Rogue.
No.
Yeah! Let's go Pirate
No.
Rogue! Let's go Pirate Rogue! Come on!
Why? Why? That's why I said, you play Miracle or aggro.
Yeah, so play Pirate!
What
Yeah,
pirates
aggro.
have been added to this? Like,
No,
what
you
are
still
we?
you still have all your 1-drop like you play the pirate package.
Yeah.
You're just rogue.
Yeah.
Like,
You
that's
play
it.
a bunch of pirates.
That's
You have your
nothing-
weapons. You have the
Doesn't
Plague
change.
Scientists. There you
You
go.
know-
Plague Scientist is bad. Plague Scientist is an arena card.
Thank you.
Am I
Thank
Am
you.
I silly for thinking that 4 mana Phantom Freebooter, if you have a 4 mana, well, no, because 4 mana 4/5 for the Druid stats. Never mind, that's dumb. I take it back. I was trying to get fancy and I was wrong, so I apologize for that diversion there. I think the Plague Scientist could be better than we think it is, just because anything that, like, 3 mana 2/3 isn't bad for the stats, and Poisonous that you can control seems good. I just think it's situational. And I think-
it's not good.
And that makes it not good. That's fair.
Like, it's understated for its cost. It relies on you to not only have a dude on board, but also play something ahead of it. It's like, okay, so it's a 3 mana 2/3, so it's terrible on turn 3.
Yes.
So you have to play a spell before it to make it good,
Okay.
and you have to have a body in play. Like, I understand that, sure, if those conditions are met, you can kill, like, a Boulder Fist Ogre with it, and I will not refer to anything more valuable than a Boulder Fist Ogre in this scenario. Or you just keep on doing what Rogues have been doing for all eternity and play SI7 Agent, which even now they're not doing.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I want to play
But
pirate.
I got really excited for Roll the Bones until I realized that card was terrible too.
yeah. Roll.
Like,
I
oh
mean,
man, think of all the cards I can draw that are all bad.
no. Here's what you do: you play Roll the Bones in a deck with all Death Rattle cards, and then you draw your whole deck and you lose. but you get to fully storm out, so it's fine. Like, that's
Or you could just play a deck with Roll the Bones in it and lose anyways.
that's.
Just in not such a grandiose fashion.
Are you saying
Okay,
that the Bone
okay.
Baron doesn't do enough Death Rattle wise to justify?
How
A Death
much
Rattle
do those
is supposed
skeletons
to be
cost? I bet those skeletons are 2 mana.
They're 1 mana, I believe. 1 mana, 1/1. Just like what happens when the blah blah blah. The Paladin guys go back to your hand.
Okay.
If I remember the card correctly. But yeah, I mean, a 1 mana 1/1 to your hand is not ideal. It's not great.
Combo enablers, guys. Remember Pit Snake?
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, yeah, I remember it. It's not being played now, which
Even Spectral Pillager. Like, I looked at that card, I'm like, oh my god, this card's gonna be insane and Miracle. You play a bunch of spells and dome your opponent. But even that card is bad.
Because what are you replacing in the Miracle Rogue deck with that card?
Yeah, what are you cutting with that? And also, how many cards do you need to play for Spectral Pillager to be good? Too many.
Yeah, you need to
Just think
play.
about it. Usually
like
you're
8.
going off. Like, usually you play your Auction Master, like, on 6. And then you just go off with all your free spells. Like, you coin to get some mana, you prep to play a spell for free. Like, you don't have this huge huge margin of mana in which to, like, dick around and then slam your opponent with Spectral Pillager. You play your Auction Master, you go off, you kill them on the next turn. That's how Miracle does its job.
Mm-hmm. It's really tough because so many of these cards I want to be good, and yet so many of them I feel like they're just not. And here's one thing. Can I pretend for a moment that, like, a Burgle Rogue with the Ethereal Peddler plus Liliana Voss plus whatever other Burgle cards you want to include, like a Swashbuckler. Probably not playing. Like, we've decided Burgle is bad, but like other cards in the Burgle Rogue deck, like, can this be more than a meme, or is this, like, even with like Shaco or whatever, like, this is just full on memes, and it's
the meme dream, dude.
It's the meme dream.
Like,
yeah.
You're replacing spells in your hand with random spells from your opponent's class. Like, what are you hoping to get with this?
a class that's better than Rogue in a mid-range deck.
Oh, hold on. I know that I'm like doom and glooming here about what they're getting this expansion, but like Rogue is still good. Like Miracle Rogue is perfectly fine. They're not losing anything. They're not gaining anything here, but
well, they are gaining one thing. Theoretically, Valeria the Hollow looks like that could be a good card, man. Like, each time you play a card, transform your Shadow Reflection into a copy of it. Like, that's a guaranteed combo value, guaranteed Miracle Rogue value.
Life are certain. Death, taxes, and Miracle Rogue. Embrace your savior.
Yeah. Valeria the Hollow seems really good to me, especially because you get the stealth to guarantee that you can actually combo off the next turn since your hero can't be attacked, which is really valuable.
Okay, yeah, that
you can do a lot to set that up.
That works.
And Shadow Reflection, I mean, getting that every turn seems good. That seems very good to me.
Like getting a free. Actually, you'll never get a free. Yeah, you'll never get a free prep. This will never copy preparation.
No, but you could get Eviscerate.
Oh yeah, Eviscerate, coin.
Wait. You could prep. Oh no, because you can. No, because it doesn't go infinite.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Never mind.
Oh,
Never mind.
Please prep. Prep coin. Do it.
Coin seed.
Maybe I'll do that the next time I play Miracle, and I just have to lose.
But look, Shadow Reflection. I mean, this is the other thing that people have brought up, and I could see happening, Valyra the Hollow with something like Mali Rogue, which is almost a kind of weird version of Miracle that was popular like a year ago. But you get Mali Rogue, and if you have the Malygos on the field and it lasts there, maybe you cheat it out with Bartons or whatever else, or however you get it out there, you have the Shadow Reflection. So now I have a 9-mana Eviscerate that then gives me another 9-mana Eviscerate with the Shadow Reflection. Or
Damage.
You get the...
Damage! 9-mana Eviscerate is bad.
Sorry, Eviscerate, excuse me. So you get like all of these like huge damage spells that you can have a guaranteed copy of, so you guarantee yourself that extra bit of gas. You don't have to worry about like, oh, but I had to spend a couple of things to get to that.
Okay,
well,
but
now I have...
But here's the thing. So you play Valyra on turn 9, you play Malygos on like turn 10, and you just pray that they don't have anything to deal with your Malygos at all. That's basically what you're praying that entire deck on is, I'm going to play Malygos on turn 10 and hope that if you're a priest, you wasted all of your cards and you can't do anything about this.
Priest can't really target it because Dragon +4 attack.
Yeah.
So you're fine against Priest.
Yeah, Priest is like the one guy that actually has nothing to interact. He even goes under Anduin.
Yeah.
You could inner fire and
I mean, sure.
whatever.
Yeah.
Fair
But
enough.
you have ways. It just seems so convoluted to just be like, all right, this is literally the only play in my deck that's going to win me the game. But I guess that's kind of Miracle Rogue's thing.
Yeah, exactly.
so-
I think you were very
Here's
much...
a grim prediction. Here's a grim prediction before we move on. Valyra the Hollow might not get played.
Yeah, I don't think she is.
Think of all the things that she can do. Think of like how good all of that seems, but I think that ultimate infestation, we might just like never see this card in a serious thing. But that happens.
No.
Like, think about Angora.
Here, I'm gonna make one more case for you about Valyra the
Okay.
Hollow. So you get Valyra the Hollow down. You then you play Malygos on turn 10, Sinister Strike. Hold on. No, you got a coin first, then Sinister Strike. You get Shadow Reflection, so another Sinister Strike. That's 16 damage the turn that you played Malygos without having to rely on any. All you need is one coin to make that happen. Don't have to worry about any preps. You know, like if you have a prep Eviscerate on top of that, like you could, like if you have enough of the cards in your hand, the combo pieces, you could kill it in one turn because you now have Shadow Reflection getting you that extra second spell, that one more burst that you need. I see why you're hesitating. If you have
the Malygos, again, internet, make it happen. Make Chase's dreams a reality. Play Valyra the Hollow, play Malygos, murder people with Sinister Strike. Please. Because I want it to be good too. I want all the cards we're talking about, even the ones that I'm dumping on, I want them all to be good. Because if, like in Magical Christmas Land, where every card is good, every card's good, and you just get to have fun playing, or you get to have a miserable time because you can't put what your opponent's on and play around it accordingly. And that's why you need a hierarchy of cards, kids.
Yeah. Look, it's Rogue is either going to be super fun to play, or we're going to hear a lot of Rogue players complaining that the class never changes and they're tired of Miracle, and when are they going to get another playstyle that Blizzard doesn't just kind of half-ass?
I'm going to bet money on the second one.
And then Blizzard rotates Gadget Sand, and all the Rogue players are like, but wait.
Wait, now we have nothing.
Now what do we do?
Pirate Rogue. That's what I'm saying. Pirate Rogue.
All right, let's pivot to the other end of the curve.
Yeah.
Let's talk some Murlocs. Shaman.
Well, okay, you say Murlocs. That's what you have in the notes. Can Quest Shaman step in? All right, sell me on it. Because I don't think that Quest Shaman, like, I don't think the Quest is all that good. So
I say that, again, I think that the meta is going to slow down. Like, a lot. Honestly, I don't know if Pirate Warrior is going to be able to keep up, because that deck is literally speed and nothing but. Like, there is no consistency to that deck aside like it is consistent in the same way that Burn is consistent in Magic. When every card in your deck is Lightning Bolt,
how can you not punt?
Exactly.
Or how can you punt?
Mhm.
Every card in Pirate Warrior hits face, so how can you not deal damage to them?
Right.
But they don't have any card draw. Like, if they lose by not their opponent killing them, by them not having enough cards to kill their opponent anymore. And I think that the Frozen Throne meta is going to slow the game down to a point where either Pirate Warrior has the nuts and kills you, or they lose.
That's how
So
Pirate
we're-
Warrior is anyways. You either win by
I know,
turn
but I
7
mean,
or
like,
you
that's
lose
gonna-
anyways, so it's...
But like that's going to happen more frequently.
Yeah.
The meta is going to slow down, and the percentage of games that you just steamroll your opponent is Pirate Warrior is going to go down, I think. But like they already exist in a pretty teched against the meta, so maybe the numbers don't change for them. But if they do, where do aggro players go aside from home? They either play aggro hunter and hope that the hero power can provide enough pressure to get them there, or they need to find another deck that's fast or resilient. And I think that Murloc Shaman could be that deck, oddly enough, because you have Megafin. You have Megafin, who is way above rate as far as his stats are concerned, but that's a quest reward for you, boys. You can complete the quest super quick. And with something like Ice Fishing, that's just drawing you more threat. Not even just drawing you random cards off the top of your deck that you don't want. It's drawing you Murlocs. It is drawing you your win conditions.
Yeah.
Like that could be the correct combination of resilient threats in Ice Fishing getting you more dudes, in Primal Fin Hunter getting you more dudes, in Megafin getting you more dudes, and Neptalion getting you more dudes, that you just burn out your opponent's removal. It's like, yeah, we might be on turn 12, but you don't have any more answers, and I have a board full of Murlocs still.
Yeah. Yeah, how are you going to kill me when I can freeze you with my Burlock and I can keep drawing things that are going to keep building up the board and Ice Fishing, and I mean, there's a lot here that I think is going to give them the time to activate the quest for sure. And then once you've activated that, well, now you have a full thing of cards in your hand. It's like, how much AoE are you running? And one of the things that we saw, like Defile and Spirit Lash are both AoE cards that will almost certainly see a ton of play. We'll get to Defile in a bit. But if you can get past those initial ones that they're really going to be one to play on curve so that you're not just purely aggroing them down, well, how many of those are they running? Because if you can flood the board again and again and again and again, like how many classes can keep up with that level of board state? And the answer is Warrior can do it, which is going to, like, Warrior is still going to be a tough class for them, especially with everything Warrior just got. Mage can do it, but none of the Mage decks right as they exist now are built to deal with it as many times as they're doing it. The rest of the classes are really going to struggle to deal with that kind of board.
And then you still have like General Megasaur and Bloodlust. So even if you do just like the board you have is just a board full of 1/1s, you still like General Megasaur, Bloodlust, bam.
Yeah. Bloodlust is really good. Like this could be Murloc could be the way that that token stuff goes nowadays. And in all reality, like there's a lot of stuff that, you know, the Evolved Shaman did not get any worse in this particular expansion. So
it got strictly better, but we'll get to that.
The one thing about Evolved Shaman that we do have to remember is that Evolve is a 1-mana card. So if Evolved Shaman's doing well, now Shrieking Geist will be a thing. And they'll just get rid of your ability to evolve. Because again, Shrieking Geist is the kind of like anti-tech card that ruins like 2 other things than the one it was trying to tackle in the first place.
I think that the Death Knight will handle that, but again, we'll get to him later.
Yeah. So let's talk about Freeze Shaman, because this is clearly the thing that they are pushing. That's clearly where these cards went. Snow Fury Giant, for instance, is just giant, but costs 1 less for frozen minions. Cryostasis is freeze the thing, but make it stronger. Avalanche is freeze a thing and then kill other things. You know, Voodoo Hexers and Murabi are the 2 where you can see like clear value. I think as someone described on Hearthstone, you know, Voodoo Hexers, when a Water Elemental and a Armor Smith love each other very much. Like
I didn't even realize this card had taunt.
Yeah.
Yes.
I literally thought it was just like okay, this is water elemental, but different. I didn't realize it had taunt.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yep.
The taunt could make it legitimate. And Murabi, the thing that, 6 mana 4/4, like, hi Mist Caller, I miss you too, but like I also realized that 6 mana 4/4 is just too slow. But it is when another minion is frozen. It doesn't have to be yours. So if you want to freeze your opponent's biggest threats, you can almost make it like a priest style, like stealing your win condition and using it against you and freezing things long enough to get to accomplish that. I don't think it's strong enough. I think that in general, a lot of these cards are just too inconsistent to get enough value to justify it. Alex, is there anything like I already saw you shaking your head. So are you completely out on Freeze Shaman as a concept? Is it just not there yet? Like, where do you stand on it?
As far as new archetypes are concerned, we have certainly seen one start off on shakier ground. Hi, Taunt Warrior. Welcome back to the show. My issue here is that there's no Blizzard effect. There's no Frost Nova. Mm-hmm. And think about every single thing that Shaman has that freezes. Like currently, I'll give you a hint. It's Frost Shock. That's it.
That's it.
This isn't even like the whole Enrage Warrior mechanic that we'll get to later, where that kind of thing is just kind of like always existed in some like primordial form that's just been waiting to come out of the Ongoro Crater. Hi, Ongoro Crater. Welcome back to the show. But before this, they had one free thing that froze minions. Now they have Burlock, which is another thing that freezes a minion. They have Voodoo Hexer, which could freeze several minions if you're lucky. You have Avalanche, which freezes a minion. You have Cryostasis that freezes the minion, and that's it.
Yeah.
So, from what we've seen from like Dragon decks, you need, if you're a really greedy Dragon Priest, you'll play 6 activators. But you have all these payoff cards that get you more. You have Netherspite Historians, which are effectively dragons. You have like Ysera that can give you more dragons in a pinch. You have I don't think that you have the critical mass of stuff to make the archetype work, and I don't think that the pieces that we have currently make the archetype work. Like, I think that Icebreaker could be good eventually. Not now, but eventually.
Yeah. The fact that Avalanche doesn't freeze the adjacent minions is really...
Or damage the one that you target.
Yeah.
Avalanche is such a weird card, and I don't think it does enough damage for what it does.
Yeah. Avalanche is the one card that I feel like I could be completely whiffing on. Like if a month from now Avalanche is like a really high played card, I'm gonna look at it and be like, I don't like right now I don't see it, but it does enough things. Like, freezing a minion is good. Dealing 3 damage to 2 minions is good. Like, I mean, multi-shot is 4 mana in Hunter, and sure, multi-shot doesn't get played in very many metas, but deal 3 damage to 2 things, like, that was random. Like, this is better than that in theory. Dealing 3 damage to 2 minions, like, that's 2 lightning bolts in 1 card, but it's like weirdly aimed. Like, it's like the anti-meteor positioning almost. Or actually, it's a lot like meteor positioning. A meteor's played, but freezing a thing isn't as good as... Yeah, because freezing a thing isn't as good as 15
Dealing
health.
15 to its...
But, like, for 2 less mana, you still get the... I don't know. I like, right now, I think it's not good. But there's some part of me that's saying, you're missing this. You're missing the board state that this works with, because I'm just not visually seeing how those things line up.
I have a more lighthearted question, because I kind of agree with you on Avalanche. Like, because it's so weird in how it functions, like, the initial reaction is like, this card's bad. Mm-hmm. But if in a month, like, every shaman's playing it, I'd be like, okay, I'm not sure how we got here, but sure.
Yeah.
I have a more lighthearted question for you.
Please.
And to follow up, a reason why freeze might feel super weak right now. What right does Cryostasis have being epic? Like, what world do we live in where this card is epic? And also, what world do we live in where this card is good? Like, where do you play this? Why do you play this?
This is one of the more fascinating cards to me because it goes back to the old Blizzard way of making cards, which is that epics are meant for memes and like really like weird like situational cards. And so I'm glad that it's not. Let me put it this way: I'm glad it's not a common. I wouldn't want to get it as a common in my packs all the time.
That's fair.
But like,
that's fair. It's a way to print a card and be like, if you want to play this card in Constructed, you have to really want it.
So here's
you
how
don't want
do
this
it.
card in Arena, so we're not going to make this common to make you cry.
So
you're
if
going to be seeing this 3 times as much.
If aggro was really good, and then like aggro looks like this expansion is going to fall off a little bit, but in a world in which aggro is really good, you turn 3. No wait, hold on. No, because you wouldn't be able to. I guess you'd have to turn 3 on a turn. You know, you had a coin. You'd play the Drukhari Defender. Your 3 mana 2/8. Reminder that Deathlord was really fun one time, and I miss you very much, Deathlord. But 3 mana 2/8 taunt, Overlord 3. Like, we know that card, that stat line is good. Overload 3 versus getting your opponent to get a minion out on the board. Like, we can go back and forth on which one of those is a worse kind of counter effect, but we know a 3 mana 2/8 taunt is good. You like, it's not really there to deal damage, but if you boost a taunt thing, right? Imagine like you play Voodoo Hexer and play Cryostasis on top of it. Now you have a 5 mana 5/10 taunt. A 7 mana 5/10 taunt that freezes everything that has to trade into it. Like, you don't care so much about the fact that it's frozen if you're playing it on a taunt that your opponent has to trade into anyway. But, like, that's such a niche moment. And the rest of the times you're playing it and you're probably like, oh, I gotta freeze their thing, but now I'm making it stronger, so future me is going to be even more pissed. Screw it, I have to get my Hex, so let's throw it out there and pray I draw Hex next turn. Like,
Top deck Icebreaker.
Yeah. Yeah, top deck Icebreaker so that you can take 3 more damage into whatever it is that you're trading with there. But hey, you can do it, I guess. Yeah.
This is also a really weird way to give Shaman weapons poison, I suppose, because that would make thematic sense. All right, but here's why they don't have like a Blizzard or a Frost Nova, because they give them Shadow or Snow Fury Giant. Like, they have all this bad single target because they're afraid that like you top deck the Snow Fury Giant without having frozen a single dude, cast 1 card, and then drop it up to 0 mana 8/8. I think.
Yeah, I mean,
which means that Shadow Fury Giant's terrible design.
Yeah,
you have to suppress every other card that interacts with it to make this card playably fair, which makes all the other cards so terrible that Shadow or Snow Fury Giant by extension is terrible.
Yeah, and what happens for the next 2 years whenever they want to produce like a frozen effect for Shaman now? Like, does this mean that we can't really use that design space because every card that they consider for the next 4 expansions has to take in mind that Snow Fury Giant's a thing? If this is going to be a thing, if we're going to make Free Shaman an archetype that is going to exist for the next couple years, well, now you have this thing that if you create any AoE freeze abilities, could potentially become super powerful, almost like what Arcane Giant has now become to Miracle Rogue decks. And I guess in theory, the existence of Arcane Giant shows that they are okay with 0 mana 8/8s hitting the board, but certainly in something that's a little bit more grind heavy and something that has a lot more direct board control in freeze effects, I'm not sure that's something they're ever going to want. So what that tells me is there's a very good chance that this is it for Free Shaman, and they just kind of created this little niche thing because they were thinking that Shaman was already too powerful with what they have with the Evolve and whatever else. So this is like this situational package that they don't expect to be a long-term identity for the class. That concerns me. I don't think Snow Fury Giant as it was printed is a good card to have. I think that it limits more than it helps. But Thrall Deathseer is going to be fun.
Yeah, let's bring it back to something positive. And Thrall Deathseer is nuts.
Oh man, nuts. I'm not sure about, just because the hero power only targets one thing. Targeting a minion is nowhere near as good as targeting all of your minions with something like Evolve. And for 2 mana, like it's an investment.
But would you feel safe in a world knowing that on turn 5, Thrall Deathseer is going to come down, evolve their board twice, and then every single turn after that, he's just going to go evolve, 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 evolve.
Yeah,
Like,
and then you play it with evolve on top of it. So
Yeah,
you play that on turn 5. Turn 6, you play the Doppelgangster, and then evolve. So now all the stuff that was there before got evolved for a 3 mana boost, and that gets a 1 mana boost. And now you have a whole bunch of like 6 drops that you could try to get to 8 drops, which is really where you want to be with a lot of the just pure stat line things.
what this hero power does, like, sure, it's not as blatantly powerful as like just having evolve on your hero power is.
Mm-hmm.
But what this means is that now you don't have to evolve on a single dude, because you just have the hero power. So if you wind up in that situation where you just like you've run out of gas, you top deck a minion and like evolve, and you're like, so do I hold this evolve and hope that I get a big enough board that I can get some value out of this card, or do I just go for it now and hope for the best? Now you don't have to make this choice. Also, Evolve Shaman's now going to be running, like, basically they're going to have a guaranteed double evolve and 2 other evolves that they can play separately, and Transmute Spirit that they can just keep on hitting over and over and over and over and over again, generating bigger threats as they like trade into your dude, they evolve it, they trade into your dude again, they evolve it again, and just keep on getting like a bigger threat until you low roll and get like the 6 mana 1/1 that's supposed to come with the 6/6.
Yeah, that's going to be a
gets
thing.
killed.
Yeah, there are a lot of potentially bad evolves now, thanks to all these cards with, weird death rattles that actually make it worse for when your guys dies. But that's why you have a card like Treachery. That's right, I'm pro Treachery. I'm glad this card exists. I think this is gonna be fun. I want shenanigans. Give me shenanigans, Alex. Can this, like, are there enough bad death rattle things? I made a note on our list, like. It seems like Rattling Rascal, which gets you a 5/5, gives your opponent a 5/5 when it dies, could be a thing. Bomb Squad could be a thing. Taking Abomination, get the 4 mana 5/6, and then trade in, get it away, trade into it. Now all of their stuff dies. Is there enough there, or is this another meme dream that needs a little bit more help first?
Look, man. I play I raid in World of Warcraft. Once we're done here, that's what I'm going to be doing, is raiding.
Right.
And, like, I dislike Gul'dan, like, personally. He has done some stuff to me. Even I don't think that he deserves this. Like, not even Treachery. Like, what did Gul'dan do to Ben Brode to deserve all of this? Does Gul'dan have like a King Varian Rin body pillow and is just like out to get Gul'dan?
I think this is their theory. Their theory is that cards like the Sanguine Reveler and Unwilling Sacrifice is gonna make like an egg lock exist, essentially like a zoo with all of these cards that when they die give you the bigger minions, like the 0/5 egg that gives you a 5/5 when it dies. There's the 1 mana 0/2 that allows you to draw a card when it dies. Like, these kinds of cards will give you enough gas, and you benefit from having them die, so that you can, in theory, just completely, you get an advantage for having the thing die, and then you get the advantage of whatever the card does as well, kind of like the Ravenous Terratrax was supposed to be. The problem is, we saw Ravenous Terratrax. That didn't really do all that much to allow egg-type things to exist. So Sanguine Reveler and Unwilling Sacrifice probably, like, neither one of them seem like enough to justify it compared to that. And Defile, I guess, is a thing that you could have your eggs die with. Defile's good. Like, Defile's going to help. And, like, usually, though, you would imagine for, like, a control setting. And, like, there's not nearly enough control. Like, Handlock is not doing very well. So
Handlock's not doing very good. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, nobody asked for Wailing Fellhound. That's not the card that discard needed. The high point about what Warlock gets seems to be the fact that they got a strictly better drain life. Woo! And that got a 1-mana buff that's gonna rotate eventually.
Yeah. Are you saying that Gnome Feratu is not as broken as the Hearthstone community thinks? This is the one that at the beginning when I was thinking of Magic the Gathering, like I feel like you guys really made fun of us for freaking out about Gnome Feratu.
Like, yeah, it was bad. It did like good at a GP a year and a half ago, blew up, and then immediately blew into obscurity again.
Yeah.
Despicable Dreadlord though I think has some legs. Like again, we got like a decent demon. It's got like a one-sided Baron Geddon effect. Cool. Blood Reaver Gul'dan. Stop making demon happen. Demon will never happen.
It could work in Wild. Like Wild with Mal'Ganis. You get a second Mal'Ganis, and then you get like that seems good. You get that with
like Siphon Life.
Yeah. Like 9 mana, whatever the Cruel, I think, Cruel the Unchained, or Unshackled, I think it is, that allows you to get all your demons out. So then you get that, all your demons flood the board, you deal a whole bunch of damage with your Doom Guards or whatever that you hopefully cheated on there. Then your opponent kills them all, and then you're like, ha, JK low, Blood Reaver Gul'dan, I get to do it again.
Does seem like the most Gul'dan thing you could possibly do to them. Yes.
That means nothing to people like poor Walter in Standard, though. I'm really going to enjoy this in Wild, and I will say the Siphon Life here, like Hero Power, is busted.
Yeah, like when you play Blood Reaver Gul'dan, that's probably about the time you're done life tapping. Yes. So, going the other direction seems like a pretty good choice. Like, okay, I've tapped myself down to like 10 life. Let's go back to 30.
Yeah. Where do you like? Are any of these cards interesting to you, Walter? I feel like we've had so much fun talking about these that you've fallen off here.
Yeah, I'm just learning that like everything that I loved in Ungoro doesn't exist. It does. Like the more we talk about everything, it's just like at the
Warlock didn't exist in Ungoro either.
I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, but just like everything is getting just much slower, and it slowly is taking my interest away from it because I'm not a control player. I'm not I don't want to play slow. I like playing quicker pace decks and just
mid-range will be fine. It'll be fine.
I have a nugget of wisdom for you when we're done here. Okay, that'll bring you some sunlight. A real quick point before we head off from Warlock, because I think that Warlock is a desiccated corpse right now.
Yeah, there's not a lot of positive to point to here.
Like, Kibler's been playing a bunch of Discard Lock, and like we say that Discard Lock is bad now, and we're right, but he was also playing a bunch of Dragon Priest back when Dragon Priest was bad before Karazhan. So he's been the herald of things to come.
I mean,
do you ever think that Discard Lock will be a thing?
Do we believe that Wailing Fellhound will be a thing? Like
no, Wailing Fellhound is a terrible card. I mean, do you think like Discard Lock could be a thing if it gets the right pieces? And what do you think those pieces are? Because he's also Kibler's also really high on Blood Queen Lanathel. Most of my reactions to these cards, zero outside input. I actually specifically stayed away from like Noxious, Kripparrian, Trump, Kibler. I stayed away from those so that way I could give this video with just as much, this is what I feel, not let me regurgitate what other better players of Hearthstone have said about these things. But
yeah, same.
Lanathel and Gnome Feratu were 2 bits from Kibler that I did pick up, and he's actually pretty high on Lanathel.
Yeah. Here's the thing. If Disco Lock is going to be a thing, again, because it technically has been in the past, just in a different form, you need one of 2 things. Either one, you need a zoo deck that has so many different tools for controlling the board that you can kind of get away with it. Think about like what Imp Gang Boss was for forever, right? 3 mana, 2/4 gave you all those minions. Implosion was also a thing that added that stability to it. You need to be able to get away with the fact that you're not going to have perfect draws all the time. And so like the discard then becomes an added bonus rather than the thing that you need for your deck to be good. The other thing is that, like, the reason I brought up, like, do you think Wailing Fellhound is going to be good? Well, you've got to get to the quest quickly. Like, just straight up, the only way that you're going to get the value of those constant 3/2s is to start spawning them at a point in the game at which you can get immediate value and win the board and then kind of keep the board, theoretically, for the rest of the game. Two health is proven to be just kind of too weak for that. But if you get it early enough, maybe it doesn't matter so much. Or maybe Disco Luck just doesn't play the quest, and we just accept that the 5 mana cost there isn't enough. But then you need more things like that dinosaur that brings back or Dinomancer, I think it was. The one that,
Cruel Dinomancer.
Yeah, Cruel Dinomancer, the 6 mana 5/5 Death Rattle summon a thing that was discarded. Like that could work in theory. But just having one of those right now, I don't think is good enough. What I was waiting for was the card that said, like, for however much mana it would have been, discover a card you discarded in this game. Like, that was the card I was waiting for. That seemed like a great answer to bring back, like, but what if I lose the one thing I really need? What if I lose my Lanathel? Well, now I can get it back. Oh, well, now I don't worry so much about it. You know, even if it's not 100%, at least some way of interacting with a graveyard would be helpful. But they're not doing that. And by the way, in case you're curious, no, discarded does not mean that it died. The dead graveyard from which we get Blood Reaver Gul'dan is a separate graveyard from the card discarded graveyard, which would also be a change that would help, by the way. If it was a, died this game thing and we could bring some stuff back, I'd feel a little better. But it's not, so I don't. So
consolidate graveyards, make discard, get rid of, aside from a few corner cases, get rid of random discard.
Yeah. Make discard great again. Let's do it.
Pick your discards, aside from like a couple of like super high powered ones, like maybe Soulfire, because 1 mana 4 damage. Even if your discarding card seems pretty good. Yeah.
Seems, yeah.
Discard could be great. It just needs the tools.
Sorry, Warlock. I have a feeling we're going to be seeing you at the bottom again. But Wild, you're going to keep having fun. Reno Lock is super fun and Wild for people who want to remember what it's like to play Warlock again. It's still there. It's still super fun. But yeah, let's move on, Walter, to your favorite class.
Watch you cry about how little support you got.
I mean, yeah, Warrior got jack all for what I play. I got nothing. Nothing to help Taunt Warrior, except maybe Bring It On. And nothing for Pirate. Like, what is this bull?
Hold on. Dead Man's Hand, I think, is pretty disgusting.
Interesting. You like that card a lot, huh?
That is actually another one that I saw some opinions on.
Okay.
Because, like, what's better than brawling your opponent twice? Brawling them 4 times. Even 3 times.
This is a
because,
good point.
like, Mage right now is kind of in the, hey, you know how 2 ice blocks are bad? What about 3? How about 6?
That is fair, but the meta has to slow down so much for that. Because in most of your matchups, well, I mean, here, I will say this, and this is the piece I would try to give you, Walter. Every single expansion, people say the meta is going to slow down. Like, oh, but this time the meta's really going to slow down. TGT, we have all these Inspire cards. The meta's totally going to slow down. No, it's not. With the old gods, we have all these 4 gods that are, at the top of the standing. Like, clearly the meta's going to slow down. No, it's not. Like, we always have fast decks. It has always existed in every point of Hearthstone. I refuse to believe that trend is going to just disappear and all of aggro will disappear just because right now we have the same optimism we had before so many other sets that we thought for sure were going to slow down the meta. Dead Man's Hand is properly named in my mind because I have a feeling that for at least a third of your matches and probably 2/3, it's a dead card. Because you're not going to draw enough of your deck over the course of the game that you need to get your hand back in. Mm-hmm. Like, all it's going to do is potentially dilute your draws because A, you're not going to want to draw it in an aggro game, and B, like, what if your hand isn't the cards that you want to be drawing again a second time? So now it's sitting in your hand waiting for you to draw the thing that you need, so then you can play the extra 2-mana card to get the thing that you finally top deck. Like, it really is going to be a meta-dependent card in the same way I think Bring It On is going to be a really meta-dependent card.
Yeah.
Like, Bring It On only works in a that is pure aggro, because you want the aggro guy to flood the board while you have all of this armor and can really take advantage of it and then get your brawl or whatever. But if you're playing against a good mid-range deck, you don't want to tell Hunter, by the way, here's a 4-mana high main. You don't want to tell like Priest, like, oh, by the way, here's like a 7-mana Ysera where you can hero power. Like you just like, because it's a permanent reduction, not a 1-turn reduction.
Right.
So like you could really screw yourself over if it's a more mid-range controlling meta. So I think Warrior for this expansion in that regard got a lot of situationally great stuff. Like, those 2 cards could be situationally great depending on the meta. You would never run both, and you're never going to have a meta in which both are valuable, which to me makes it a great epic spot. Here's a question before we get into the Enrage stuff, because that I think is the meat of where this goes.
1,
Mountain
2,
Fire
3.
Armor's really good, right? Like, we can all look like Mountain Fire Armor's really good.
Yeah, that's a
3
solid
mana, 4/3
card.
trades up, and if they try to trade down into it to prevent the value, you get 6 armor. That seems really good to me.
Yeah, that's a really solid card. I like that. I don't know if I'll play it in any of my decks, but like, I like that.
It feels like you can run that against any archetype, and it's going to be good.
I mean, I wouldn't put it in. It wouldn't touch Pirate, and I don't know if I'd want to take out a Stonehill in Taunt Warrior.
I would
Well,
you.
no, you never take Stonehill.
Yeah.
We've been praying to Stonehill all podcast. Have you been paying attention?
What else are you gonna take out of Taunt Warrior then?
You're not.
Well,
That's
okay.
what I mean. Like,
So
I'm
the
pretty-
2 decks that I played.
I'm pretty medium on Mountain Fire Armor. I think that he's an arena card.
I think you could potentially cut. You could potentially cut something like maybe a Battle Rage, like maybe you don't need because against if you're it is going to be a tech card against aggro things in Taunt Warrior, because you need another body early on in the game, and then, the
Just
stuff
race them with this guy behind your taunts, and then you make them have to remove it and give you 6 health.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly the concept there. Like that forcing them to trade into it in order to get the 6 armor for yourself, or being able to trade up. I think that it has a flexibility.
Or are these supposed to be like your hedge against board wipes?
Hedge against board wipe is also nice. It does so many different things depending on what it is. And 3 mana 4/3, like, the stats aren't bad. In Arena, this is going to be a godlike card. In Standard, I think it could be one of those rares that, like, it looks kind of boring on paper, but then you see all of the scenarios which, well, it's valuable against board wipes. It's valuable when trading up. It's valuable to trade down, and when the opponent trades down into it. Like, it's always going to have some value. And cards that are always valuable tend to find their way in. The problem is the Warrior has and continues to be one of the most broken classes in Hearthstone, because at Warrior at any time has at least 5 archetypes that are valuable. And that's why, like, we're going to bring up here, like, welcome back to, like, Patron style Warrior and Rage Warrior.
Oh, but it's not. It's not even close. Patron Warrior was good.
It is if you play Wild. A and B. Do you really? You're really not. You don't.
Patron's not even good in Wild.
Well,
Patron
it can be, potentially.
It can be, but like, you generally get outraced by aggro and outvalued by control. Like, it's in Wild now, guys. Can we please just unnerf Commander, shift it into the All-Star class, and like let Patron Warrior kill people again? Please. Like,
nice.
That's all I see. All I see when I look at these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards out of the 10 that they got. 8, 10? 8. Yeah. Oh no, yeah, 10.
Yeah, 10.
6 out of the 10 cards they got are all for this Enrage archetype, and all I want is to get in here.
You know what I see? I see a Confessor Paltress that is much easier to proc in Warrior here. In this new Rotface card. You know what I see? I see a Death Revenant that seems like a more powerful kind of I mean, as a pure ball of stats, like that can be a really nice kind of finisher, almost like an Edwin style in an Enrage Warrior deck. I still see Frothing Berserker as a thing that exists. I still see things like Ravaging Ghoul, like Ravaging Ghoul is a must play because of things like Armor Smith. All of those things are still true with Armor Smith now. You want to talk about getting consistency and having the armor against an aggro deck. Get your Armor Smith up. Get a couple of things. I mean, I think the Soul Climber is not quite good enough in a real standard environment, but Fiery Warrior might be, because Fiery Warrior, 1 mana 1/3, like 1 mana 1/3s are good. Automatically procs any enraged thing that you play from your hand. Like there are some things here that, like, Enraged Warrior's always kind of been beneath the surface that I feel like, especially Bloodraiser, I think is going to make all of that in play. It's not quite as good as Deathspite, but they were never going to print Deathspite again. But
Why
now
not?
we have...
Why not? Give us back Deathspite and Ice Lance just for this, please. Please, can we have good cards? Can we have better cards?
Look, I miss Deathspite too. I truly do. But, like, at least we have, like, a slightly worse Deathspite that at least can situationally, because, act as, like, a whirlwind effect as well when it's played. Like, there's a lot here that could create, like, a weird, janky, control-y thing. That gets away with it in the early game and has enough big threats in the late game. I want it to be a thing. I know I keep saying this with a lot of these decks. I want this Enraged Warrior to be a thing. And then I remember that there are enough Warrior things already. Like, we don't really, like, even if none of these cards are valuable in the expansion, this, like, Warrior's going to be great as a class, because Warrior's already great. It has all the things that make it consistently great. So any of these cards panning out into my optimistic viewpoint is going to make Warrior super duper good all over again.
That's
and
true.
It's going to be a pain.
Playing 4 Frothing Berserkers could be really good. As a quick, I think that Scourgelord Garrosh is a quick note. Like, the Shadowmourn's pretty dope. It's kind of like a, what's it called? It's kind of like another Gorehowl-y effect. I just, like, punch minions, not faces.
Yeah,
the repeatable
cleave
whirlwind
thing
is okay.
Hey, does anyone remember that 6/9 mech, the Foe Reaper 9000, back in the day that could attack adjacent minions as well? No, I didn't either, because that effect was never seen as all that valuable. Like, at least with Scourgelord Garrosh, you could do it on curve because it's a weapon, so you could attack the turn that you play it. That might make it a little better. But in general, cleave effects are something that we have always talked up as a Hearthstone community and has never actually been good. I think if Scourgelord Garrosh is good, it's going to be because Enrage is good, and therefore the Bladestorm ability becomes good. Because 2 mana Whirlwind seems like every turn seems like a very consistent way to ensure that every Enrage thing you has gets value every turn.
All right. That's it for all the class cards.
Yeah.
We could probably spend like another. We've been talking for what, like a little over 2 hours now. The video will probably be greatly cut down.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, no, we're at the +2 hour mark at this point.
So yeah, let's play it off. Let's play it off with some honorable mentions in the forms of the neutral cards. Give me some hot takes, guys. I see your Twitter. You guys are hot take masters. The Lich King, 8 mana, 8/8, taunt, end of your turn, add a random Death Knight card to your hand. Death Knight cards will probably be in the dibbly-doo.
Ysera that can be found by Stonehill Defender? Thank you. I'm okay with this. This will work out very well. Lich King's going to be really good. Arthas is going to be less good, but it's adorable, so that helps.
Yes.
It has an adorableness buff, but
There we go.
Yeah.
It's a beast too. Remember
what
that,
about
Hunters.
you, Walter? You get to weigh in on this as well.
I mean, yeah, you get him by Stonehill, like that's absolutely fantastic. I don't know, the Death Knight cards, none of them really speak to me in any like way, shape, or form that I'm like, yeah, I would really want to get this card. They're nice cards, but nothing that I don't know. None of them are just any that impressive to me.
2 mana deal 5, or 2 mana to heal 5. That's
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, Death Coil's the best one, but
No,
Doom
Frostmourn's
Pact seems
insane.
Yeah, Frostmourn's insane. Doom Pact is insane. A 5 mana God, Twisting Nether to get rid of cards that you don't really care about. Like that's
Maybe I'm just undervaluing them, but I don't
Death
know.
and Decay, like you get a better version of the Mage Potion that deals 2 damage to everything.
Exactly.
Like, and it's only for enemies, so it's one-sided. Like, yeah, I think you are heavily underestimating some of the Death Knight cards.
Steal. Oh, it's only a minion, so you can't steal their Death Knight.
No, but you steal it. No, it's not a copy. You steal the minion, so they don't get to draw it, and you get it. That also could be super good.
Oh man, you death grip their Tyrion.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay.
I'm like, yeah.
There you go.
Anti-magic shell, like that's insane. Even for a buff card, anti-magic shell.
Maybe
Okay.
I guess I'm just undervaluing them.
Hot takes. These cards, great. You know what? They're all terrible. All 3 princes.
Yeah, garbage.
Princes are there so the cards that generate legendaries aren't as good. Don't at me if you disagree.
Garbage. They're garbage. Awful. Uninspired.
In the notes, we have Nerubian Unraveler, mini Lotheb.
Yeah, man. 5/5 spells cost 2 more. I don't know if that's enough to hold off, but like against Miracle, like that's a big thing to have, and it's and against something like OTK Mage, that's a big thing to have. I don't know if it's going to be enough because it really needs a meta in which spell decks are the most powerful thing, but it seems like a more balanced version of Lotheb that doesn't have to rely on it being a battle cry, so they have to deal with it.
Yes.
But it's going to be a really situationally tech card, more than even some of the other ones we've talked about.
Sure.
Yeah, massive tech card. Like I think it'll be good in some matchups, but in other matchups, it's just going to be a 5/5 for 6.
All right. TI7. Yeah, TI7. TI is going on.
Yeah.
The International is going on. Let's keep it up with the techies. Skulking Geist. You guys have already Chase has already mentioned it a couple of times, on possibly the death of Jade Druid becomes too big, as well as maybe threatening some other decks. Any final thoughts, Chase?
Yeah, this is a pretty clear hate card. If Evolved Shaman, Jade Druid, and Miracle Priest are all in the meta, you're going to be playing Skulking Geist. If they're not in the meta, well, then it's a 6-mana 4/6, and a 6-mana 4/6 is really bad. So this is purely a meta hate card. In general, there haven't been even things like the Galaka Crawler, right? We're like, oh man, this will be the end of pirate decks because we get this kill a pirate, get the +1/+1. Guess what? It did just fine because not every deck can afford to fit in every tech card. So Skulking Geist will make a couple people very sad when it's played against them.
Yeah.
And the rest of us won't really care.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I agree. If I see that I'm against a Druid and I have this in my deck, I'm going to be super happy. I'll put it that way.
Better tech card than Eater of Secrets, though, because there are more 1-cost spells to remove than there are secret decks on the ladder right now.
Yeah, but 1-cost spells don't keep your opponent alive when they should die.
Jade Idol has a word for you, man.
Good point.
Yeah, I mean, death is a really good way to prevent them from killing you.
Death is the
Drakari Enchantress.
Yeah. I'm so hyped. Yeah, no. I want Ysera and the Lich King on my board with Drakari Enchanter. So I get 4 cards at the end of every turn. No, like this card isn't going to be great. I would love to see, like, turn 9, you play this and Hogger, you get the 2/2/2 taunts. Like, there are plenty of meme combos. There just aren't many, like, this will clearly provide value right away combos. And usually you need cards that are going to do enough right away. This is why Spellslinger Umbra isn't played right now. It doesn't do enough. But maybe it will.
Again, like it takes too much setup, and I think decks have enough to counteract it. Like, it just takes too much setup. Like, you're gonna play it, and you're gonna get 1 turn out of it, and that's great. And then the next turn, someone's gonna deal with it. So, I don't know. Like, it's solid. It's solid if it stays on the board.
The 5 health helps.
The 5 health helps, yeah, but
yeah, like Umbra at 4 health for at 4 mana was not good enough. 3 mana for a 1/5. If there are early end of turn effects, that could be a thing. But it's
I got 2 more.
Okay.
So speaking of 5 health, Mindbreaker. Inspire didn't make hero powers matter enough. What about if we take them away?
Yeah, Yeah, you play this in Arena. You play this against someone who happened to get a Death Knight. You're gonna feel pretty great.
Yeah, that's it.
But yeah, you're probably not main decking this because as good as Death Knights are, like by the time they've gotten to their Death Knight spot, the 3-mana 2/5's not doing anything.
Yeah, exactly. It's just gonna get swept off the board immediately. That's
All right, Walter. And you know I gotta throw you a bone. Walk us out with the great, mighty Phantom Freebooter. What are your thoughts?
yeah, it's a pirate. I should be happy. It's too slow for pirate.
Oh.
I think it's too slow. What I'm just trying to think on how often do I have a big weapon out on turn 4? Like I don't. By then I've probably used up my Fiery War Axe unless I've drawn both of them early on, or I get the Mother Load where I go upgrade into Bloodsail Cultist and I have a big thing that I'm just adding a bunch of attack instead of 1 health. Like I play enough of Bloodsail. Like you play Bloodsail Raider often enough that 3 health isn't that great. I guess the extra health, maybe getting that 1 durability added onto the health and making it 4 health is a little bit more difficult to deal with. But then it's just Frostbolt hero power on turn 4 anyways, and it dies. So I don't think there are enough times where on turn 4 I'm gonna have a big enough weapon that makes it matter more than either playing like a South Sea Captain or a Corcoran Elite or another Bloodsail Cultist or like something like that. So
it could replace Naga Corsair.
It could replace Naga Corsair.
Like giving your attack 1 weapon 1 attack is probably not worth so much that the upside, if you can get a big weapon or you play it after you draw it after you've already gotten your the 5-mana 5/2 weapon whose name I'm somehow forgetting.
Arcanite Reaper.
Arcanite Reaper.
Oh, they
Reaper.
play it after your Arcanite Reaper. Like I think that has more upside, and so that probably that might come into play. But you're right. I don't think it's fast enough for the rest. I do want to say, just to fit this in there, Bone Mare, 7-mana 5/5 that gives +4/+4 and taunt. Hey, Arena, sorry. I guess Blizzard just does not care about you objectively, because that is broken as hell in Arena, especially as a common. Like, what the hell? Like, as a common? This is going to come up way more often than you
It's going to come up as often as Volcanosaur did.
God, Volcanosaur was pretty good with the cannot be targeted adept.
Yeah, it came up often.
Well, but that was a rare. This is going to come up even more often
Oh
because it's a
God.
common. Like, I have a feeling that's going to be one of those that Arena players are complaining about for a long time.
All right.
Pretty much.
Well, that
I
sounds
agree,
like
but I don't care about Arena players, so go ahead, make the card. It'll only see in Arena. Was there anything else? Any final thoughts? Any one last card that you wanted to touch on before we head off into the good night, Alex?
No, that sounds like an X-Pack for me, dude. I'll see you guys in another 3 months when we get the next one. And then the next one.
Is that a little salty? Do you want to come on a little bit more often?
Hey, I mean, I probably know about as much as you guys do about Dota. Let's talk TI. Let's talk.
Oh my God!
I'm in on this.
No, I don't want to. I don't want to touch the Dota. I don't want to touch the Dota. My brain is on fire.
You don't want to touch the Dota. You don't want to have to literally talk about every single hero as though they were good and viable, because sometimes they actually are.
Basically, League is hard enough, and
Alright.
I have to only know 40.
If everything's broken, nothing
is
is.
broken. Chase, what about you? Final thoughts? Final card you want to pick out? Anything?
I mean, I'll keep naming things if you want. I will say, the one other thing in Arena that I'm absolutely terrified of is Death Speaker. 3-mana 2/4 gives a friendly minion immune. Free trade up on your turn. You can control. Like, that seems good in Arena.
There's your poison card in Rogue. There you go. You give one of your creatures immune, and then you give it poison, and then you kill the big thing.
I mean, if you give it you don't care. If you give it poison, you're already giving it the big thing. But now you can do both.
Right now you can do
turn
it
6.
twice. Now you can kill the big thing and then kill the big thing again. There you go. Made it good.
All right.
So on that
I hate
note,
you.
we're gonna wrap up the episode. If you enjoyed it, let us know in the comment section. Go ahead and hit that like, comment, subscribe button, all that fun stuff. We do read all the comments, so we genuinely appreciate it. We actually managed to get it out before the expansion drops this time. So hopefully
did.
you guys have as much fun talking about these cards as we do. Let's theory craft. It's going to take a couple weeks before we know whether we were right or not on any of these things, as it always takes time as people experiment with this stuff. But actually, let's close on as you give out your social media handles. I think we should say, like, what's the thing that we're most looking forward to as an individual, like after all that's been revealed. Like, I'm at RedShirtKing, and I cannot wait to meme some dudes playing the priest legendary, the Archmage Benedictus. Archbishop Benedictus is totally going to be a thing. I'm totally playing it. It's going to suck. 2 weeks in, I'm probably going to disenchant it, but I don't care. That's what I'm doing because the memes are too good, man. Walter, where can the nice people at home find you, and what are you looking forward to most?
You guys can find me at Ceades_LOL, and I'm looking forward to just hopefully keep playing Pirate Warrior, and hopefully the meta doesn't slow down enough that I can't keep playing Pirate Warrior. And then 3 months from now, I hope they swing it back the other way, and everything speeds up, and it's all aggro heaven, and they delete Priest from the game.
Wow.
Dude,
So great.
we got a long time with the nightmare fuel that is Anduin. You guys can find me on Twitter at BMNeavas. I'm most looking forward to, first of all, just keep on memeing with that good old quest mage, and I finally got a 4-drop. Feel free to at me all your hilarious combo kills, whatever the deck, whatever the means, whatever the memes. And that nugget of wisdom that I promised you,
Okay,
Walter, my brother,
Here we go.
my friend, for 20-something
boy.
years. Aggro decks have won the last 2 Magic the Gathering Pro Tours. I think you're going to be fine.
I didn't know we were playing Magic. I thought this was Hearthstone.
What I'm saying is every early meta, all aggro, baby. Let people figure the meta out while you punch them in the face.
That's a good point.
You're going to have like an 80% win rate when the expansion drops because everyone's going to be trying weird stuff and you're going to be playing Pirate. And by the way, everyone's going to then go on social media and say, why are any of you assholes playing Pirate? Why don't you want to play with the new cards, you jerks, picking on people trying to try things? It's going to be great. The cycle will continue. All is red in the world. Enjoy your wins. Enjoy this episode and enjoy our episode on the EULCS Week 10. Walter's favorite week of EULCS coverage is also coming up today.
It is the priest of the LCS weeks.
Oh my goodness. Well,
I can't, man.
I hate
All
priests.
right.
That's all I'm saying.
All right, well, you guys wrap up as you need to. I need to go raid.
Yeah. Until next time. Goodbye, Internet. Hey there, Ceades here. Thanks for checking out the podcast. And if you enjoyed today's episode, consider supporting us at www.patreon.com/roughdraftspod. For just $1 a month, you can join your fellow listeners in our patron-only Discord channel and help keep the content coming, or join our VIP club where $1 a show or $8 a month gets you first priority on all patron content like our patron-only Q&As. And check us out on all of our social media, Twitter @RoughDraftsPod, Facebook.com/RoughDraftsPod, SoundCloud.com/esportsroughdrafts, as well as on iTunes and YouTube by just searching for the Rough Drafts Podcast. Thanks for listening, and goodbye, Internet.